Well, you got to be dressed for the party. They call it the tools of ignorance, but the most intelligent men in the game wear it. Behind the mask, and it'll be Nick Hundley, the catcher for the Padres tonight, as we take that perspective and watch the game from that catcher's position. Welcome to Petco Park, Game 2, three-game series against the two-time defending American League champion Texas Rangers and the San Diego Padres. Tight pitchers duel last night, 2-1. The Rangers' high-octane offense, they hadn't scored 2 runs, only 2 and 1 a game all year. They're used to being in all those big old crooked numbers, but it figures to be not only an interesting ball game tonight, but the fact that we're all going to get down on the crouch and catch it.
And for every pitcher, I'm sure there's one catcher that really made a difference in their career. Quite frankly, Bob Brenly caught my Major League debut. I was a 20-year-old. He was a 4-year veteran. He really made me feel comfortable. He took charge. He was a general out there, made it all seem like I've been out there for a long, long time. Really had a great relationship with Bob Brenly.
And who better to share his knowledge and put us into that position and help understand the nuances of the game. A man who was a catcher 18 years in the major leagues, won 3 Gold Gloves. We welcome Brad Ausmus.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. And just to get back to something you mentioned, Mark, is the relationship. And the buzzword in the relationship between pitcher and catcher is trust. You have to be able to trust the catcher to block the ball in the dirt. You got to be able to trust the catcher to know the scouting report, to know the situation, to know the strengths and weaknesses of both the catcher or the pitcher and the hitter. There's a lot of trust that is involved, and that's what makes a good catcher-pitcher relationship.
Brad, you've got to put down the signs. You've got to know the scouting reports. There's so much going on behind home plate. You caught there 18 years. Anything that we're missing?
Mud, you know as well as anyone what goes on between pitchers and catchers. There's things that go on in the catcher's mind that are hard to explain, like having to deal with the strikeout last inning while not letting it affect your game calling in the following inning.
And we'll see that in the game action from Mike Napoli. He'll be catching Scott Feldman for the Texas Rangers, and Nick Hundley will handle Edinson Volquez, who looks for his 4th win tonight. And in the wings, Torey Alba for the Rangers and Baker for the Padres. We go behind the mask. The catcher's perspective of Game 2 of this Interleague Series, the Rangers and the Padres.
Let's go. Come on, Hatchie. Come on, Griff. Let's go, baby.
Have a good night. Go.
Do something.
Vamos.
Come on, JJ. Do something.
One time.
Oh, wait, throw it. Let's go, baby.
Final words in the bullpen between Nick Hundley and his starting pitcher tonight, Edinson Volquez. As we're ready to go here at Petco, it's another beautiful night. A little more breeze tonight than last evening. At times, gusts of 10 to 15 miles an hour blowing in from left field. The Rangers, with 41 wins and 27 losses, in first place by 5 over the Angels, send up Kinsler, Andrews, and then Josh Hamilton. He could be a Triple Crown winner. Beltre hits cleanup, then Cruz another power hitter. David Murphy had the Napoli. Mitch Moreland hitting .274 in the 8th spot in the order with 10 home runs. That tells you what kind of lineup they have, as Volquez sends the first pitch of the game on its way, and it's inside ball 1. Ian Kinsler, a .277 hitter as you look at Volquez's numbers. Opponents hitting only .226. Padres don't hit much for him. Kinsler sends it high behind shortstop. Cabrera trying to find it up in the. That ball was really a major league pop fly. Air Control picked that one up. One away. Carlos Quentin, Cameron Maben, Will Venable in the Padre outfield. Headley and Alonso at the corners with Cabrera and Amarista, the double play combo, and Nick Hundley behind the mask. Elvis Andrews steps in, hitting .298. Leads the team in triples, has 5. Tough man with men in scoring position, Andrews. 7th best in the American League, hits .362 with runners in scoring position. Just missed.
You know, Brad, before the game, we had Nick Hundley mic'd up. I'm thinking it's got to be an adrenaline rush each and every night you caught when you took the pitches in the bullpen before you head out to the field.
You know, for me, it was ritual. I had to get back there. I wanted to take a look at what the guy's stuff looked like that night. Though keeping in mind, just because he didn't throw well in the bullpen doesn't mean he's not going to throw well in the game, because we've seen that happen many times. But really, it's a ritual. Get back there, see the pitches, block a couple in the dirt, and just get your legs loose.
2-0 now to Andrews. Shows bunt to take the pitch all the way, but didn't like the call. 2-1. A lot of folks have difficulty understanding that in athletics you can have a terrible warm-up as a basketball player, and a quarterback can miss all of his receivers warming up and still have a great game. Same with a baseball pitcher. You come out of the bullpen and say, man, he's got nothing tonight.
You're absolutely right. And sometimes in batting practice,
Cabrera handles the ground ball from Andrews. 2 away.
I was going to say, in batting practice, a lot of times you'll have a round of batting practice and think, oh, my swing is awful. I got no chance. And sure enough, you'll go out and go 3 for 4.
Or the reverse. You're hitting the ball all over. Everything's a line drive, and you go 0 for.
Yep. It's happened to me way too many times.
Not to this man. Josh Hamilton leads the major leagues in slugging percentage, .674. Has missed 4 starts now with that virus. He lost 10 pounds, was hospitalized. But back in the lineup tonight. And this is a legitimate superstar. Interestingly, he came to Texas in a trade that involved the man on the mound. Swing and a miss at a changeup.
That right there is the best pitch to Josh Hamilton.
A great pitch to anybody. Did you have difficulty hitting the changeup? I would think every hitter.
I had difficulty hitting the baseball, but the changeup was especially hard.
You can see how way out front even the great hitter Hamilton has difficulty with that change.
Foul back.
Now as a catcher, Brad, this is something we could talk about where pitchers fall into patterns. You try to avoid that. Now that's where you have to take charge and convince a pitcher that, no, we need to go a different direction.
And I think one of the most important parts of staying out of patterns is not showing too much of what your out pitch is going to be early in the game. I'm going to give you one.
Foul tip, strike 3. Volquez, an impressive first inning. That's been the bugaboo for him, but he retires the Rangers in order. Padres baseball, brought to you by AT&T, the largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Petco, where the healthy pets go. By Wells Fargo, together we'll go far. And by Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. And the Padres come up in the bottom of the first inning. Volquez retires the Rangers in order. Hard to believe that anyone pitching with the hitting support the Rangers have would be 0-6, but Scott Feldman, that's his mark so far with an ERA of 6.5. Venable takes a strike at the knees.
I was going to get back to a point I was making just before the end of the top of the first, was that you kind of want to avoid showing your out pitch to hitters early in the game. Hopefully you can use it later in the game. But there is an exception. And for me, that is the first inning sometimes, and Mud, you can speak to this. The first inning sometimes is the most difficult inning in the sense you're just getting a feel for the mound, you're getting a feel for the strike zone, you're getting your rhythm. So in the first inning, I might use the out pitch if the situation becomes dire.
That clipped foul will make it into the stands down the left field line. Here's the starting lineup, Brad, for the Padres tonight. Venable, Maben, and Headley, the first three. Quentin, who has been on base every game he's played as a Padre. Alonso fifth, Cabrera, Hundley, Amarista, and Volquez.
Brad, you make a great point because there might be one pitch that makes the difference between throwing a goose egg or a three spot, and you might need that out pitch to get out of that first inning.
You're right, and sometimes the first inning is the toughest inning of the game.
That's a fair ball, and Napoli takes care of business. One away. Brings up Cameron Maben.
How would Brad Ausmus do on a play like this? Like a puma, like a cat out in front of home plate?
Oh, Napoli's faster than I am, especially at this age.
Almost threw up his backside there. What's the important play here? What's the technique here, Brad, that's important?
Most important thing is make sure you look the ball into the hand. You don't want to reach for the ball, look to see where the runner is, and then miss the ball.
We see that a lot.
That's the only way the runner's going to be safe.
He used the glove, didn't pick it up barehanded there, even though the ball had come to a dead stop.
And there's a couple ways to do it. You can scoop it, you can sweep the ball into the glove, or you can just, if the ball is not rolling, go down with the bare hand and pick it up. Either way, watch the ball. Do not take your eye off the ball until you have control of it.
One strike to Maben, checking in at 2:08 tonight. High fly ball hit well to right center. Hamilton gives ground, and there's two away.
We might see a lot of curveballs tonight from Scott Feldman. He is known for his sinker. A few years ago, he won 17 games. That was in 2009. It was 70% sinkers. Along with that fastball and curveball, he'll throw a cutter and also a split finger.
Chase Headley had 3 base hits last night, including the only run-producing hit, a double off the center field fence in the first inning. Time now for our Lexus keys to the game. Commissioner Grant.
All right. Well, everybody knows that the battery is the pitcher and catcher, right? Well, tonight, Hundley, Volquez, we're looking for a lithium battery. None of this alkaline stuff. They don't last as long. Lithium goes a long, long time, right? We want to go deep into the ball game. So a long-lasting battery. Go ahead. Use ignorance to make brilliance. And, Dick, you alluded to it earlier, the tools of ignorance that the catchers wear. See some great plays tonight, hopefully, from Nick Hundley, and lead them, the Padres that is, to a victory against these Rangers.
1 ball, 1 strike to Headley. He fouls it out of play. One of the interesting aspects, it's obvious, but one doesn't think often about it, is that everyone on the diamond is facing home plate except for the man behind the plate. His perspective 180 degrees from everyone else.
And it's odd for me to watch the game and try to pick up nuances in a hitter's swing from a different position, because I was in that position behind home plate looking forward for so long.
So if you were out first or third base side, tougher for you to pick up the pitches and how to pitch to a certain hitter?
Much tougher. I've played a few other positions in my career. It's not the same feel. I've been a backup catcher, or I was a backup catcher for the last couple of years in L.A., and that wasn't the same feel.
In the dirt, and full count, has another 3-2. Open his action here tonight. 2 out. Bases empty. With Carlos Quentin waiting his turn. Ground ball into left field for a base hit. So Headley continues his hot hitting. 3 for 5 last night. Opens with a single tonight. That'll bring up Quentin.
Stayed inside that ball nicely. They were playing him to shift a little bit on the pull side. And that ball, if the shortstop's playing a regular position, looks like it's a 6-3 play.
Yeah, I think you're right. But as with most left-handed hitters, the shortstop's shifting towards the middle of the diamond. Most ground balls by left-handed hitters are closer to second base to the right field line.
Carlos Quentin with a modest 5-game hitting streak. He's been on base every game and has picked up at least 1 hit in 14 of the 16 games he's played. Outfield very deep. Slight to pull. Headley goes, and the ball is fouled off. Headley had a terrific break.
That's a situation where you hope Quentin sees out of the corner of his eye that Headley had a huge jump, and maybe he takes even a strike to get him in scoring position. Of course, that being said, with Quentin at the plate, Headley's already in scoring position.
And I mentioned that in the pregame show how Scott Feldman is slow to the plate, so that might be a big key for the Padres tonight. Incorporate their running game. Even if you're not known as a base stealer, if you get a good jump, you might get that free 90 feet.
Jams him.
You can tell by the Fox tracks, brought to you by my good friends at Southland Technology. Feldman's trying to bury the 2-seamer into Carlos Quentin, not getting those hands extended.
That's his bread and butter. He wants you to hit a ground ball to the left side of the infield.
Now, as a catcher, you've got 0-2. As Mark Kotze wants to get down there and put down some fingers. 0-2. What do you overemphasize a certain pitch in this situation, Brad? Like really, like pound the glove on the ground or inside?
If you're going with a breaking ball or off-speed pitch, you certainly want to make sure they get it down in the zone or below the zone. I don't believe in wasting a pitch. I'd rather get the out right here. He's got a number of choices at 0-2. He could go breaking ball. He could go with another sinker. He could try and backdoor a sinker for a strikeout. He's got a lot of options. Most pitchers do when they're 0-2.
Curveball. He shakes. He wants to go to the heater in. Oh, back to the changeup.
Struck him out. After 1 here at Petco. The Rangers nothing and the Padres nothing. Vincent Volquez. John Baker is joining us from the dugout now as he, along with Nick Hundley, will help us appreciate the action behind the mask. First pitch, a breaking ball for a strike to Beltre, a 305 hitter.
Bake. Brad Ausmus here.
How are you, Brad?
I'm doing well. First of all, let me tell you, the camera doesn't add 10 pounds. You look great.
Thank you very much. I gelled my hair before I came out here just to make sure.
I got a question for you, and this is a question people always ask me, but I'm gonna change it a little bit. Would you rather call a 1-0 shutout and go 0 for 5, or hit for the cycle?
Oh man, I personally I take more pride in the shutout. I think that's for a team win. I mean, you might hit for the cycle and lose the game, but I think the nature of our position it means a lot more in that relationship with the pitcher to catch a game like that, have a guy pitch great and win the ball game. Those have always been my highlights. Have been great games called, great pitching performances by guys. I much more appreciate that than the hits. Those things come and go, but those 1-0 shutouts are rare.
That fan may have been a former catcher, the way he snared that line drive back into the second deck. Nice play.
Bake, I agree with you. There's no better feeling as a catcher than being on the same page as that pitcher, working through a lineup, and almost knowing that nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah. By the mound, and Volquez knocks it down with a bare hand and has enough time to throw out Beltre. One away.
You're absolutely right, John and Brad, because the majority of the times when you see a shutout thrown, sometimes the catcher's more excited than the pitcher himself. It just goes to show you how much pride you guys take in catching a ball game like that.
Well, look at every time we see a no-hitter. Who is it that's out there running up trying to injure the pitcher that just threw a gem?
Yeah.
From Yogi Berra and Don Larson all the way through modern history.
And the irony is, and Bake could speak to this, is after a game like that, a 1-0 game where you have men on base and men in scoring position and you're trying to get a double play or get through the inning without a run, you're exhausted.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I appreciate most about the position, because you talk about taking an 0 for 5 and having a tough day at the plate. I feel like it's a lot harder to take an 0 for 5 and go stand in right field for the whole game than it is to take an 0 for 5 and know that you had something to do with winning the baseball game, calling the right pitches, getting a guy through tough spots. You can take solace in the defensive side of the game and take solace in calling pitches when you're struggling at the plate. And so I think it's why, in my opinion, it's the best position. It's the most fun position. I could never see myself playing anywhere else on a baseball field.
And only a catcher would use the word solace at a Major League Baseball game.
By far the smartest guys.
As Cal Berkeley catches are in the book. 3-0 now, as for the first time, Volquez falls behind a hitter, Nelson Cruz, for the Rangers. That's a strike.
Hey, John, we know that Nick Hundley wears the traditional mask. You elect to wear the hockey mask. Reasons?
Yeah, I got hit in the face in 2009 on a backswing. I had 7 stitches right next to my temple by Albert Pujols. Hit me in the face, knocked me out. I was bleeding on the field. It was a tough day for me. As the mask goes off. And ever since then, I think I owed it to my family to wear the hockey style mask. And I know that one of the ways I can tell you that Brad Ausmus is smarter than I am is that he was wearing that mask long before anybody else. So I think when I saw Os wearing that mask when I played against Houston for the first time, it was at that point where I think I should have made the change to the hockey mask and prevented getting hit in the face, because it was not a fun thing to go through.
Folks, this is not rehearsed. It was just on cue. Hundley takes one right in the mask. And now ball 4 to Cruz. Let's go back to that 2009 follow through by, Pujols, that big wide follow through, and he nails Baker in the side of the head.
Bake, were you unconscious at any point after that?
Not really. I was just dizzy with an immediate headache, and I was actually trying to stay in the game. I don't know, the Freddie Gonzalez was trying to pry the glove off my hand, and I wanted to keep playing. I think that's they call them the tools of ignorance, and I was showing some there and trying to stay in a baseball game with blood running down your face. Probably not the best idea, but and I think also you could speak to the same thing. As catchers, you take pride in those bumps and bruises and those nicks and standing and playing when other guys might might exit and take a seat on the bench. We always want to be in the game.
So, John, when you got healthy after that, did you immediately go to the hockey mask, or did you stay with the traditional?
I went to the hockey mask, I think, all the way until September, and I didn't like the hockey mask as much. And I switched back to the traditional one for September, but then in the off season I got used to catching with it, and I've stuck with it from that point on.
Can you describe for some of the viewers the difference of wearing the hockey mask and wearing the traditional mask in terms of sight lines, having to remove it, etc.?
Well, I think that the hockey mask is a little bit more open. You have a more open field of vision. A lot of guys don't even take it off on pop-ups because they can see up above when the ball goes up. They can see that ball off the bat. And the traditional mask, I think traditional is a great term for it, and that it's old. I mean, the hockey mask now that All-Star makes has been proven to be safer when it comes to concussions and clearly on backswings. Took a couple of them off the head in Seattle, and was really happy. In Milwaukee, Brooks Conrad hit me and spun my mask around, and I was really happy at that point when I got hit in the face that I was wearing that hockey mask and not the traditional mask, because that would have been I would have had a matching scar on the right side.
And Hundley claims he likes the traditional because he sees better, that he doesn't quite have the vision with the new mask.
Hey, I'm working on him. He's got one in his bag. He wears it when he warms up the pitchers on the days that I play, and I'm looking by year's end to get him wearing that hockey mask full time, take care of him, and make sure he doesn't get hurt. He's like dodging seeds off my face.
Hey, a little tradition before the game, John. I saw you wearing Edinson Volquez's chain. What's that all about?
Well, you got to keep it warm. I don't want him sweating too much on that chain. It's a very, very big, heavy chain. Don't want him sweating too much on it when he's warming up in the bullpen. So I make sure to take care of it for him, keep it warm, and then we've started a little ritual, a little ceremony where we put the chain of power around his neck before he goes out and pitches. I think he's got the heaviest, biggest chain of any pitcher in baseball. Sometimes I wonder if he uses it for the glint off the chain might confuse the hitter when he throws a pitch.
Made at Fort Knox.
Yeah, right.
3-2 now. Murphy had him 0-2. And he walks him. A couple of walks with one out in the second. And trouble now for Volquez. This is Milwaukee, the hockey mask. And oh, boy, that clips it right off the head of. And the follow through as well. And Baker fortunate that he has that mask.
Yeah, thankfully I had that one on and not the traditional. Like I said, I would have had a matching scar on the right side from that left-handed swing of Brooks Conrad. But it's the only position on the field where you're really armored when you go out to play, and there's a reason for it. You take a lot of foul balls, you take backswings, take backswings off the wrist and off the hand. So it's a tough position, but like I said earlier, I really relish the opportunity to play the position, and I love playing it, and I can deal with foul tips and stuff like that. It gives me a sense of pride when I stay in the game, or I always try to not show that things hurt, kind of a sick fetish. But like I said, at the same time, it's in my opinion, it's the best position in the game. It's the most fun you can have playing baseball.
Go ahead.
Mike Napoli, the catcher for the Rangers, and he takes a strike. He's been in a slump, 1 for 20. But here a couple of walks to Cruz and Murphy, and it certainly reminds one of last night. A couple of walks in the first inning by Jason Marquis and a seeing eye single to center, and that was the ball game, 2-1.
Going back to what Bake was talking about, and taking those bumps and bruises and not showing pain and picking up the ball and throwing it back, that goes to the pitcher-catcher relationship as well. They appreciate that. They understand that what you're going through, and they appreciate the fact that you're putting that nick, that dent, that pain behind you, and you're getting back to the business of calling the baseball game and getting hitters out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think one of the best plays in baseball that sometimes gets overlooked is when a guy throws a bad pitch in front of home plate, you block the ball and keep it close and keep the guy like Nick just did right there. You keep guys on base, keep the force in order so you can get a double play. Sometimes when you're watching the game, you might not realize that what the catcher just did kept us in a better position to get out of the inning. You block the ball like that and keep it in front, and hopefully I can be prophetic here and we get a ground ball double play to end this inning. And if we do, it's a big part of the credit goes to Nick Hundley for keeping the ball in front of him.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. And Napoli checks, and the count goes level at 2-2.
Well, John, you're backing up tonight. A lot of time on the bench. What goes through your mind? What are your duties tonight?
Just I got to be ready to hit, and as the 5th or 6th inning goes on, be ready to play defense. I was lucky enough last night to get in the game at the end, and I made sure in about the 6th, 7th inning go down and play catch. Alonzo Powell throws some batting practice in the cage so that you're ready, and the most important thing is to stay ready to play, stay focused, stay watching the game. So if you are in there, you know what to do and you know what pitches to call.
That one hopping in. That's a 58-footer.
A couple of nice blocks this inning by Nick Hundley, keeping that double play in order.
Murphy had the count 2 strikes against him, walked. Napoli had the count 2 strikes with Volquez in front, and now a 3-2 pitch coming up.
And what Nick did there is very important to know about, is that he kept the ball close. If you block the ball and don't keep it close, it doesn't matter. The runners are going to move up a base.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the situation in Oakland where we spiked one way out in front of the plate, and I blocked it and kept it in front, but the run still scored. You're right. You got to keep that ball within arm's reach.
And the bases are loaded on 3 consecutive walks.
Bake, do you ever go down to the bullpen on your off days? I did as a backup, just to catch the side, so you're familiar with the starter stuff, or reacquaint yourself with the starter stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to do that as much as possible. Plan every 4 or 5 days, or every 3 or 4 days. Catching is a rhythm position. It's similar to hitting in that your timing has to be right in everything that you do. So the best way to keep that timing in line and to stay on time is just to catch. There's no amount of balls you can catch off of a machine that are ever going to simulate a live arm and somebody throwing balls in the dirt. So I try to treat those bullpens like they're my game, and get out and play long toss with the pitcher before he throws, get out there in the pen and catch that bullpen. And it's like a mini game for me, and kind of keeping me sharp day in and day out. So when I do get a chance to play, it's not like relearning the position every time.
Bases loaded. First pitch to Moreland was a ball, and then the changeup has him way out in front. He's hitting 8th, but remember, folks, Moreland has 10 home runs and 24 runs batted in. This Ranger group, when the bases are loaded, they're hitting .371 on the season. So the alarm has been sounded on the wildness of Volquez, and a swing and a miss, 1-2.
And he's going to that changeup. Seems like in crunch time, a lot of pitchers will go to the located fastball. Edinson Volquez throwing the changeup with regularity.
Scott Feldman, the pitcher, not accustomed to hitting in the American League with the DH, is on deck. So this is a big man to try to strike out. Alonso gets one there. A double play.
There you go, guys. Keep the ball in front. Keep the double play in order, and look what we got. A double play, get out of the inning.
Sharply hit, and Alonso whirls and fires to Cabrera. 3-6-3 double play. And coming up limping is Moreland, as he tried to hustle, may have hit the bag awkwardly. Check it out here, Mark.
I think I got pulled hammy. And believe me, I know what that feels like. Look out!
the Rangers has to make a player change with Moreland coming up limping on the hamstring pull, apparent hamstring pull, and as he tried to hustle to beat that double play. And Michael Young takes over at first base. Young, a former American League batting champion, hit .331 for the Rangers in 2005. So they go to the bench and they come up with another great hitter. His lifetime average is .304. Well, Edinson Volquez fortunate. He loads him up on 3 consecutive walks and able to induce Moreland to hit a sharp ground ball to Alonso for the 3-6-3 double play. And it's Alonso who leads off the last of the second for the Padres.
Ever pull a hamstring, Brad?
No, but I did see somebody pull a hamstring this spring training. There was a lot of bravado going around before warm-ups one morning on field 1. A couple guys wanted to time themselves in the 40.
Really?
Oh, was that the ball-headed guy?
He didn't have hair at that time.
So Monsieur Grant was trying to outrun some of the youngsters, huh?
He was. It was a valiant effort, but it was only effort.
Yes. I'm still feeling it too.
I wish I had that on film. The look on his face when his hamstring went was priceless.
There's a nice block right there by Napoli. And talk about, Brad, the breaking ball in the dirt because it checks up the other way. Tell us how that all comes about. Watch this ball in the dirt. And is there a proper way to do it?
Well, the breaking ball from a right-handed hitter is generally going to bounce on the right side of the plate and come back towards the plate. So you know that going in as a catcher. Conversely, one of the toughest pitches to block. Right, here's the breaking ball. See, it bounces back towards the plate.
Yep,
exactly. One of the toughest pitches to block, conversely, is the backup breaking ball in the dirt on the opposite side of the plate because that's not where it's supposed to be, and it's hitting and bouncing even farther away from you.
2-2. Alonso up the middle and by Andrews into center field. Alonso skips one to center field for a leadoff single. That was much like the base hit last night that won the game from David Murphy in the first inning.
Well, Brad Ausmus, one of my favorite plays in all this game of baseball is the ground ball to the center fielder. And Alonso does just that over the head of Feldman, just a little bit to the bag, over the bag, and that's a base knock.
It is a base knock. And I'll tell you what, if I'm catching right there, and that happens again, or we get into a tight situation with that type of hit, I go out to the pitcher and say, hey, listen, you're getting the ground ball. You're a sinker ball pitcher. You're doing what you're supposed to. They're just finding holes right now. Stay right where you are. Don't change a thing.
Cabrera is the hitter, switch hitter, 242 on the season. Squares and takes a strike on the inside corner.
Toughest sinker baller pitcher to catch in your career?
That's a good question. You know what? Actually, the toughest, you may not know the name. You remember the name? Well, you were in Colorado. You remember the name Keith Shepard?
Oh, yeah. I played with Keith.
Keith Shepard threw about
Bulldog.
Threw about 95. Ball sank. Filthy sinker. But unfortunately, sometimes it also cut at 95, which made it very difficult to catch.
0-2 to Cabrera.
I mean, you just led yourself into another question asked by me, getting crossed up. That's got to be one of the worst feelings as a catcher, getting crossed up to a guy who throws 95. But it probably doesn't matter. If a guy throws low 80s, it's still.
There's that moment of panic when you realize it's not the pitch that you just called. I will say this, though. If you call a fastball and they throw an off-speed pitch, you have a better chance of catching it because it's slower than what you were expecting.
Right.
If you call an off-speed pitch and they throw 95, by the time you get your glove there, it's either hit the umpire or hit the wall behind you.
Scott Feldman, he's a big guy, 6'7" and 230. Napoli, the veteran catcher. Curveball coming up. Off the puppies of Cabrera.
Little cutter. That's got to hurt. Where does he get it? The front? Oh, the back foot on the cutter. Oh.
I don't know who invented that pitch, but the cutter, righty on lefty or lefty on righty, might be the toughest pitch in the game. Al Leiter's the first guy I can remember.
I was just thinking of Al Leiter when he just buried that pitch into the right-handed hitters.
Oh. It would start down the middle and end up on your hands.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Alonso at first with a leadoff single. Up the middle, could be 2. Backhanded flip with a glove, but not in time to turn 2, but nicely done. As the second baseman Kinsler using the glove to flip it back to Andrews for the force.
You know, that's a tougher play than it looks, because sometimes that ball will get caught in the webbing and the player will actually flip that high up in the air. So got to keep a stiff wrist on that one almost and push it.
That's a good example of 2 middle infielders who have played together a little bit.
Well, the bad news and out. The good news, you trade the speed of Cabrera for Alonso, and Cabrera's been a perfect 9 for 9 stealing. Nick Hundley. Well, it's catcher's night. The mask is off. Maybe this is the night Hundley breaks out.
I'm expecting something big out of Nick. Nick's more of a low ball hitter. Doesn't like the ball up in the zone too much. We have a sinker baller on the mound. Stays down in the zone more often. I'm expecting big things out of Hundo tonight.
Yeah, look at the gap right there in left center field. Brad Ausmus as Hamilton playing on the first base side of second base in center.
Runner goes. Throw by Napoli. Not in time. 10 for 10, Cabrera.
Good call, Professor. You called about the speed of Cabrera. You know, Napoli only throwing out 14% this year. Decent jump, high throw. Man in scoring position.
And there's not much. You know, the throw wasn't that bad. A little high. I don't know if a throw down even gets him. That's a good jump, like you said. Cabby can run. He got a good jump.
So the Padres a chance to strike first. 1 out here in the second.
Okay, when does the shillelagh start getting a little heavier during the course of a season when you're putting all that gear on and getting beat up behind home plate?
You know, the bat doesn't get heavy. The legs get heavy. And when you lose your legs, you lose your power. You lose your ability to drive the ball. You get to that 5th at-bat in the game, or you get into August and September and you get late into games. You know, that's when you really have to concentrate. You bear down and try and get your weight in your legs and use your legs when you're hitting. That's the toughest part, is that last at-bat in the game.
Now here again's a situation with a big hole on the right side for Hundley, but he's down on the count, 2 strikes. Cabrera in scoring position. Kinsler is almost playing behind second base.
And that's twofold. He can hold the runner, and with a sinker ball, they expect the ground ball more to the left side.
Boy, that one, a one-hopper way out in front of home plate. Andrews comes in from shortstop to say something to his pitcher. Might have something to do with the runner.
There's that curveball checking back up, hitting Napoli in the left side of that chest protector.
He's done it. We talked about it. The curveball's coming back to the catcher's left from a right-handed pitcher, and he knows generally where it's going. He just has to get his chest protector there.
Did you ever catch a guy runner at second base trying to relay signs or location?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that you have to deal with that gently.
That was my next question. How do you deal with that?
Well, you do it the old-fashioned style.
Put one in his ear next time up?
No, not his ear. I never wanted to put one in his ear, but
that's just an old expression.
His rib cage is fine.
Okay.
2 balls and 2 strikes as Feldman tried to get Hundley to chase a couple of balls in the dirt, and now the count level. Cabrera at second, 1 out here in the bottom of the second.
Well,
no score.
As you look at the defense, Dick and Brad, Nelson Cruz playing kind of on the shallow side. If Hundley can square something up the opposite field, he can run.
Big hole right center.
You know what's funny about you worry runners are stealing signs from second base, but nowadays with technology, you're also worried about center field cameras stealing signs. You know, they can film a catcher for an entire game and then go in after the game and watch him all game long to figure out what the signs are.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 in that sequence. What would you think if you were out at second base Or is that a little too much information?
Actually, at 1, 2, 3, 4, because all 4 signs are different, you could probably figure it out after this pitch.
I'm guessing slider.
Line drive, base hit by Hundley into right center. Hamilton can't come up with it cleanly. Here comes Cabrera to score. It's 1-0. Hundley goes the other way and puts the Padres on the board here in the second inning.
Professor, you called it. Good call. Hundley trying to think the opposite way rather than trying to pull the baseball, getting a lot of pitches this at bat. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm guessing first sign after 2. Was it a cutter? Was it a slider? It was definitely elevated. It was away. And my goodness, he stays on that ball and rifles it to right center field for the RBI.
I couldn't tell if it was a cutter or a slider. But if it was a cutter or a slider, knowing that he threw a cutter with a 2 earlier with no one on base, I'm saying it's first sign or second sign.
And Marista, a little soft pop fly to shortstop, and an easy play for Andrews for the second out. Time now for our Geico quote of the game. If you believe in your catcher, and this is from the great Hall of Famer Bob Feller of the Cleveland Indians. If you believe your catcher's intelligent and you know that he has considerable experience, it's a good thing to leave the game almost entirely in his hands. And that's a piece of wisdom that is carried through the decades in baseball. Smartest catcher that you ever witnessed, Brad Ausmus?
I've never had that question before, Dick. This
Well,
might take
you have time to think. Here's Volquez, has a couple of hits, lines this one down the right field line into the bullpen, and it's caught by Cruz just before he hits the barrier. Volquez made good contact. The Padres get a run on a single by Alonso, a steal by Cabrera, and Hundley drives it in. Hundley with an RBI single gives the Padres a 1-0 lead as a left-hander. Bud Black, even if he might have had an urge to put on the mask, kind of eliminated it by his southpaw slants. But nevertheless, you have great appreciation for the men who play that position.
Well, Dick, absolutely. We've talked about it at length. For me, it's the most demanding position on the field. You have so much on your plate. You have 12 pitchers you have to control. You have to interact with the pitching coach, the manager, and on top of that, you got the hitting coach wanting you to get a bunch of hits. So demanding position for sure.
Scott Feldman leading off, the pitcher here in the top of the third inning. I think back to spring training, buddy, and one of the exercises that you have with your pitchers and catchers, you make sure, whether it's a rookie or whether it's a grizzled veteran, that every catcher gets a chance to work with every pitcher in those first couple of weeks of camp.
Well, we try to do that, Dick, especially as many young players as you get into spring training. We think it's important that not only that everybody gets a chance to catch every pitcher, but we also have a lot of dialogue too between the pitcher and the catcher. I think you were around the couple days where we had all pitchers in camp address the catchers on their style, on their pitches, what they like to do in certain counts, where they want the catcher to set up in certain counts, what they want to do with a breaking ball when they're ahead in the count, all those sorts of things. And Brad was very instrumental too in helping our catchers in that format as well.
Buddy, I really appreciate the plug. That was nice of you.
Brad, I told you I'd get you in there.
I got to say, having been with Buddy the last 2 spring trainings, and I've never had a manager do this in spring trainings where I was a player, he takes the catchers aside and lets them know. And to quote him, he says, hey, you're the jockey. The pitchers are the horse. Get them going. And Buddy really understands what the catcher's role is, and he takes them in and lets them know, hey, you're very important to this team. Pitching's important. Pitchers aren't anything without the catcher.
Brad, I think that I learned that a long time ago, and it was really solidified, as I moved into my career. And there was really a stamp, when I became a coach, and I was with Mike Sosha for the 7 years, and learning from Mike and Joe Madden, who was an ex-catcher in the minor leagues, and our staff there, how important that relationship is between that guy on the mound and that catcher, and that confrontation with the hitter. And
there's Kinsler with a base hit.
And that's what this game's all about. That confrontation between the pitcher and the catcher and the hitter. It's the basis of this game. So we have to have a strong relationship between the catcher and our pitchers.
Final question. I know you want to get your head back into the game here, and we appreciate you taking some time. Going back through your career, was there one catcher with whom you were most in sync?
Well, Dick, I went through, obviously a lot of catchers in my career, but, I really enjoyed Jim Sundberg, who actually is an executive with the Rangers. Sonny came over to Kansas City in the mid-'80s. He was on our World Series team in 1985, was very instrumental in, the development of all of us, especially our younger pitchers, Saberhagen and Gubazon, Danny Jackson, but he had a great feel for the game, great instincts, and Brad and I have talked about the creativity that the catcher can have during the course of a game, and Sonny was very good at that.
Well, thanks a lot, buddy. We appreciate your time and live action.
Okay, we're going to get double play ball right here.
All right.
Thanks, buddy. That was nice of him to take some time out and give us some insight there.
Kinsler with the first Ranger hit with that single into left field. 1 out, and Elvis Andrus, 1 strike the count. Not a fastball. It's just a breaking ball that didn't.
Well, Andrus has grounded into 7 double plays this year. The Ranger who has done that the most is Michael Young.
I had a coach, Gene Lamont, who used to say grounding and double play was a product of guys who hit the ball hard up the middle. And that applies to Michael Young.
That makes sense. You can see where he's going there. Because it's not going to be definitely up the middle every time, so it's going to be a little bit to the right or the left, and therefore you hit it to one of your strong middle infielders and they turn it.
And he told me that as I was setting the National League record for hitting the double play.
Nice. Young's grounded into 8 for the Rangers this year.
Really? Was that a record, Brad?
Yeah, it was. I ended up tying the National League record, 30 grounded into double plays that year. I had 2 weeks to break the record. No one would get on in front of me.
1 out, and Kinsler, a good base stealer. He has 11 there at first base. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Andrus, with Josh Hamilton waiting his turn. Check swing, foul. Here's a little quiz for you 2 men. How many catchers do you think have been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame? How many catchers? Just a guess.
Well, I know that third base is the toughest. There are fewer third basemen than any other position. I'm going to say off the top of my head, 22 catchers.
That's a pretty good guess.
Move. I'm gonna have. I'll say 21 then.
Then 16.
You know, my first 18, but I wanted to go a little higher.
I started trying to name them in my head, but I got to about 6 and I couldn't think of another.
It's a tremendous list. We'll when we have a moment to go down alphabetically the 16 Hall of Fame catchers. 1 and 2 on Andrews. Takes the fastball inside. Or change actually there.
You know what I think is, and Brad, you can comment on this, but through the years, the personal catcher. Were you ever a personal catcher during maybe towards the end of your career?
No, I wasn't. Even though I was a backup the last 2 years, Joe Torre didn't really believe in the personal catcher. I was the other guy most of my career, where I caught 4 out of the 5 starters.
Pretty close, but Alonso didn't hold on to the ball anyway.
The throw's on the right side of the bag. I mean, that's perfect. Kinsler gets his hand on, and I think even if he holds on to it, he probably would have been safe.
Yeah. Volquez trying to keep him honest. 2-2 the count. A reminder: the final game of this 3-game series, a day game tomorrow, 3:30, 2:30 for Padres Live. It'll be Anthony Bass for the Padres and Yu Darvish. 8 wins, leads the National League rookies in wins, innings pitched, strikeouts. There he goes. And that one rolls foul.
Who'd you admire growing up, Brad? Catchers or just baseball players in general?
Well, I was a big Red Sox fan, so Jim Rice was actually tops on my list.
Jim Ed,
who, by the way, holds the major league record for grounding in double plays. I believe at 39
for a season.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of DPs. Jim Ed could hit him though.
Hit him hard up the middle.
Oh, that's right.
He put some dents in that Green Monster too, didn't he?
He probably hit him hard enough that they turned double plays off the Green Monster.
1 out, runner at first, 1-0 Padres here in the 3rd. Boy, that way out in front on the changeup. And another full count as Volquez pitch count now rises to 53, and we're only in the 3rd inning.
I thought he was really on his way. The first inning, he only threw 10 pitches, 1, 2, 3. And wow, he's all over the map on the Fox tracks.
Runner goes, and it's ball 4 way upstairs. That's the 4th walk. Got out of trouble after the bases loaded walks on the double play, and now first and second, 1 out in the 3rd. You can kick off the summer, folks, with your Padres Ultimate Cookout presented by Verizon this Friday night. Enjoy St. Louis style barbecue, Moss grills, and a lot of other great barbecue. Starts at 5 o'clock Friday night. And then stick around after the Padres and the Mariners game at 7:05 and a post-game fireworks to cap off a great Friday night of entertainment here at Petco. Get your tickets at Padres.com or call 619-795-5555.
Very cute.
So you allow a base hit to Kinsler, and then you walk Andrews, and then you have the favor of facing Josh Hamilton. And there's his numbers for runners in scoring position. He struck out the first time up. Volquez flirting with danger here. Pick off, and Kinsler back without a slide.
You don't usually see the pitcher turn that way on a pickoff.
No, it's always towards the glove hand side. He went to his throwing hand side, which is very awkward. See how he spins to his right? Traditionally, pitchers would spin towards their glove hand side, get that momentum.
Hamilton struck out his first at bat.
Hamilton uses an enormous bat, even by major league standards.
And you know, I noticed no cupped end on the end of his bat.
Yeah, there's quite a few guys who do that.
What do you think? You know what the weight is of his bat?
I don't know, but I remember playing against him and picking it up and not being able to lift it past my knees.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Hamilton. And it's been a pattern in the game. Volquez is getting ahead of the hitters. 0-2, and then 1-2, and all of a sudden it's a full count, and he's walked 4 of them. 2 on, 1 out for the Rangers.
He's throwing him a lot of changeups tonight. That was another changeup fouled back. And you can see Hamilton way out in front, having difficulty staying back on that pitch.
I think Volke, when he needs a strikeout, the changeup is the pitch he goes to most often.
Yeah.
And he's in a situation where a strikeout wouldn't hurt him. You prefer a double play, but if you can get to 2 outs, you feel pretty good about yourself without these runners advancing.
Runners go. Line drive right center field. That's up the alley. Andrews just pauses at third. Now he'll walk home. And following him is Andrews on a triple by Hamilton. The Rangers lead 2-1.
That's a pretty good hitter when you can foul off a changeup and then hit a 94-mile-an-hour fastball on the gap.
That's the one thing that I noticed as well, Brad. We're going to get to that high pitch right out of the get-go, a changeup. Once again, trying to throw it by him, change speeds, change eye location, working down. There's the changeup he had difficulty with, and here's the pitch. You talk about turning on a fastball, how quickly those hands get through. That's a pretty looking swing.
And he turned on that fastball with 2 strikes, where you're kind of sitting back a little bit more.
And pulling the ball that way with that authority, that's impressive.
He's got a bunch of extra base hits, but that's his first triple of the season. And he's at third with 1 out, and the Rangers now have claimed the lead 2-1 here in the third. One of the runs, the walk. Beltre tapped back to the mound of Volquez the first time. Infield not fully in on the grass, but they'll try to make the play at the plate. And Hundley with a good block. Hamilton with 22 homers, 14 doubles, and now his first triple, and a couple more RBIs. He leads the major league, 64 runs batted in.
Once again, the breaking ball, keeping that runner. I mean, to me, that's a save. Runner at third base, that's a huge run. There's still plenty of baseball left, but still, that run could be huge for Texas.
Two balls, no strikes on Adrian Beltre. He has 43 runs batted in this year. Second best hitter in the American League against right-handed pitching is Beltre.
And you don't want necessarily to walk guys, but this is probably a situation. You have another right-handed hitter on deck. You got 1 out. You're not going to give in to Beltre right here.
Nelson Cruz on deck.
Beltre's not a big steal threat if he's at first.
High fly ball, shallow and right. Venable trying to set himself up for a throw to the plate. Hamilton tags. Catch by Venable. Here he comes, and here's the throw, and he's in there. Ball off line up the first base side, and Hundley tried to catch and swipe. And Hamilton, with all of his talent, he can run like a deer as well. It's 3-1. .44th run batted in for Beltre.
Brad Ausmus, what's the technique here? Trying to block home plate. You got to concentrate on maybe a short hop from the outfield. What's that all about?
First off, you want to make sure that your left knee and your left foot are facing the right direction. You don't want to get injured with the runner sliding into the side of the knee or the side of the ankle. That ball is a little bit to the right side of the plate, so Nick shifted over. And it was a situation where he was going to have to pick the ball on a bad hop and tag him. And he just unfortunately was unable to pick it. I don't know if he would have gotten him even if he had picked it, but that's a bang-bang, do or die.
For Venable in fairly shallow right field, if the throw's up the third base side, then they've got a good shot at Hamilton. But it goes to the first base side, and that's the difference, out or safe.
Absolutely. You do And ideally, as a catcher, you want it on a hop, because when you get it on a hop, the ball's down where you're going to make the tag. If it's up higher, you have to bring the tag down to it, to the sliding runner.
1 ball, 1 strike to Nelson Cruz. He's out in front of that off-speed pitch. So with 1 out here in the 3rd, Kinsler with a single to left, then the walk to Andrews. Hamilton crushes a drive to right center to knock in 2, a triple, and he comes home on Beltre's sac fly. Foul tip into the glove of Hundley, strike 3. But the Rangers have taken the lead, 3 runs on just 2 hits in the top of the 3rd.
Rangers leading the Padres 3-1 as we get ready for the bottom of the 3rd inning. And as we continue our special on the art of catching and their equipment, we take a look at the glove. This is John Baker's glove. Pretty big, fits him a little bit better, and it's a Rawlings glove. This is one that Baker is working on breaking in right now, and one of the key parts about this glove is this on the bottom. It's a wrist protector. He said he got that idea from his favorite catcher, Jason Kendall. So that is one of the aspects of this glove. He said this is the one he's working on to use it in games later in the season. Right now he's got his main glove that he catches with, and then his backup glove is the one he caught last year. As we continue to take a look behind the mask.
Venable line drive to left, and it carries to Murphy for the first out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Padres now down 3-1. Venable grounded out in front of home plate, thrown out by catcher Napoli his first time. And that brings up Maben. So Scott Feldman here in the middle of June, actually moving into June 19th, still in quest of his first victory of the year with that terrific offense behind him. He's 0-6, and he has a lead to work with, 3-1.
So it's time to play some catch up for these Padres. Multiple base runners needed.
Did you say that on purpose? Play some catch up because it's the
great minds think alike. By the way, we talked about gloves coming back from break. Your glove is your girl, right? I mean, that's your whoopee. That's your binky. How long did it take to break one in, and how long did you keep it?
Well, I always had my game glove, and I would break my backup glove in during spring training of that year. And then once the game glove wore out, the backup glove moved in, and I had already started breaking in the soon-to-be backup.
So you used a new glove in a game?
No, in spring training.
Right. What happens if you box, a half dozen of them?
If I box them?
Yeah, if they bang, frog in a tennis racket in that glove.
Mud, come on, you've seen my hands.
So we saw Napoli using his index finger where the pocket would normally be. That's the finger that takes the most punishment, and he uses a technique where protects that finger. Did you do that?
Yeah, most catchers leave their index finger on their left hand out of the mitt. I actually wore a batting glove that had a neoprene pad on that index finger and the top left part of the palm. So it was doubly protected.
A lot of stuff going on back there. Equipment, thinking.
I can't give you your membership card to the Catchers Union yet.
I tell you what, I respect the heck out of catchers. I'm telling you.
It's like a secret society.
It really is. You guys got the secret handshake and everything.
And to think, in the early days before the turn of the century in 1900, the game was played by the catcher without a glove, but he didn't stay behind home plate either. He was back by the screen, and he would field the pitch on one hop, barehanded.
That's right. They used to groom the dirt behind home plate. They could groom that dirt so you get true hops.
Yes, I remember that well.
Here comes a changeup.
Hit well to center field, but Hamilton cruises and makes the catch. Well, John Baker spoke to us earlier about the protective glove that he wears on his gloved hand.
So Nike makes a glove here. You can see it's padded in kind of the most direct areas of impact, the parts that hurt the most for us, which is generally your left index finger. When you look at all catchers, their left index finger is generally twice the size of your right index finger, just over the years of taking a beating. So Nike's been smart enough to put a little padding on that index finger and then put a little padding up here at the top of the palm.
John Baker demonstrating another piece of equipment. Did you ever use that?
Well, that's exactly the glove I was talking about, the batting glove with the neoprene padding on the index finger. I didn't shamelessly plug mine like Bake did, saying Nike, but I did use almost an identical fielding / batting glove, I guess you call it.
Chase Headley singled through the left side his first time up. Padres have 3 hits off Scott Feldman. An RBI single by Hundley in the second, driving in their run. It's 3-1, 2 gone here in the third.
We talked about the impact and the finger being out of the glove and the beating that hand takes. Well, Nick Hundley. This is his throwing hand right here, right? That's his catching. See, there is a significant difference in the width of that knuckle.
Saw a fly ball to left field and an easy chance for Murphy. A 1-2-3 inning on 3 fly ball outs from a sinker ball pitcher, Feldman. After 3-1 Texas. Longest day of any season coming up, and night about to fall here at 8:15 tonight. AT&T trivia question tonight. Of course, it'll involve a catcher. Name the only catcher to win the All-Star Game MVP twice. It's surprising that it's only happened twice. Two-time MVP. We'll have the answer bottom half of the inning. For Texas here in the top of the fourth, leading 3-1. It's Murphy, Napoli, and Moreland's replacement Michael Young to bat.
Brad, I know that you work with the minor league catchers as well when you have your input with Buddy and the rest of the staff. Anything going on in the minor leagues we should be aware of?
It's almost like you didn't know about this text I just received, Mud.
Really?
I received a text from Randy Smith saying that one of our catchers, Austin Hedges, who's playing in Fort Wayne, in the Midwest League, went 2 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs at the All-Star game.
Nice.
All right.
And Portillo, big right-handed flamethrower for us, was the winning pitcher.
Notable catchers this season for the Padres. Yasmani Grandal, the switch-hitting catcher acquired from Cincinnati. Elise made the All-Star team in the Texas League. Eddie Rodriguez at Lake Elsinore, and there's Austin Hedges, a local product. And many felt as an 18-year-old when the Padres drafted him last year that he was way ahead of his age as a defensive catcher.
He was certainly, his aptitude for an 18, 19-year-old at the time had far surpassed mine at the same age. He's a real good kid, good athlete, and a good listener. He's easy to work with.
3-2 and a fly ball to left. Quinton has to fade. One away. And let's go down to Layla Rahimi.
As we continue to talk about the catching position, I asked Mike Napoli about what it was like to catch and call a game in the World Series. About as much pressure as you can have as a catcher. Nap called 6 of those games for the Rangers, and he said that the first inning of the World Series was pretty amazing. He said, I did have some nerves, but I was able to calm down once I got into the routine. But he said it was an incredible experience. He had a great offensive series, too, hitting .350, guys.
No, he was a total force. Here he is, Napoli. He was one of the 3 men that were walked consecutively by Edison Volquez in the second inning, and with 1 out, he got Moreland to hit into a 3-6-3 double play. Moreland pulling a hamstring in the process, and the word from the clubhouse for Texas is it is a hammy, and it'll be a day-to-day process as to when he might return. Sometimes he can come back in a couple of games. Sometimes you're headed for the DL.
Hey, good fastball, two-seam action at 94 after the cambio from Edson Volquez. Looks like the chain isn't slowing him down tonight with that 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Curveball. He shook off the fastball to go to the curveball. Nice.
And it's another strikeout for Volquez, his 4th. And time now for our Sequandication highlight of the game, and that big breaking curveball from Volquez, that'll do the job.
Yeah, Brad, you rarely see that 12-6 curveball anymore. I love the good old power 12-6er.
I think it's making a comeback, actually.
Really?
A lot of people went to the sliders and the cutters for a while, but I feel like you're seeing more curveballs. I think people are seeing the effectiveness of it.
I love that pitch.
It's a tough pitch if it's thrown right. The problem, I think the reason pitchers got away from it for a while was that if it's not thrown right, it's a ball that's driven.
Michael Young replacing the injured Mitch Moreland. 1-1 the count, did not go around.
I really like it when guys can change speeds on their curveball, when they have a harder curveball and a softer curveball.
Anyone come to mind that could change speeds, fastball, curveball, and be effective with both?
You're getting me with all these stumper questions. When I think of curveball, I immediately think of 2 closers. I think of Greg Olson in Baltimore, and I think of Troy Percival in the now Anaheim Angels, or Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
1-2, and a swing and a miss. And Volquez with a couple strikeouts and a 1-2-3 4th inning. Padres coming up, need 2 to tie. Time for our Farmers Insurance Report Card. It involves catchers. The longest hitting streaks in Padres history. The top two are catchers. Benito Santiago, 34, and John Flaherty, 27. You would think Tony Gwynn might be ahead of those two. But Santiago and Flaherty, the longest streaks hitting at both catchers.
What was your longest hitting streak, Brad?
3 games, I think. No, I think maybe 12.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how tough it is to have a hitting streak go for, double digits.
John Flaherty would have never had that hitting streak if it weren't for me, by the way.
Elaborate, please.
Well, in 1996, when I was playing for San Diego, they traded me to Detroit for Flaherty. And then Flaherty came over here and got hot with the bat.
Carlos Quinton starts the Padre 4th inning. He struck out the first time. Takes a fastball. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Called a ball. Feldman has not walked a batter and struck out only one, Quinton, to end the first inning.
That's a pretty good sinker at 93 right there. I love sinker ball pitchers in the National League just because I think if you're throwing sinker balls in the American League or have over the course of a few years and you've been effective, you're going to be doubly effective in the National League.
Why is that?
Get rid of the DH. Not to mention he's been pitching in Texas.
That's true.
Which is a very good hitter's ballpark.
It's like pitching in an oven.
Yeah, it's warm. The grass is short. The ball runs through the infield. It's if you can pitch in Texas, you can pitch anywhere.
Feldman got away with one that last pitch, 91 miles an hour, right in the power zone of Quinton, who fouled it off. And now the count 2-2 right there.
You can see by the Fox tracks the pitch 1, 3, and 4 inner half up and down. Doesn't want to get those arms extended. He's going back in there again.
Struck him out again.
And they've pretty consistently thrown Q inside.
This is the two-seamer coming at you, and you cannot be afraid to get it in there. If you're going to miss, you better miss down and in, because Carlos Quinton likes that ball down and in. He can crush the ball down and in for a strike. That, if taken, would have been a ball, but he has to offer it that.
And that's what a good sinker ball does. It starts on the plate. You swing because you think it's a strike, and as the barrel gets to the hitting zone, the ball moves down and in on you off the plate.
Alonso has one of the 3 Padre hits, a single to center field, a ground single, first time up. He then was forced on a ground out by Cabrera. Cabrera then stole second and came home on Nick Hundley's RBI single for the Padre run. Nice Tuesday night crowd here to see the Padres and Rangers. Hope you've made your ticket plans for the rest of the week and weekend. Yu Darvish, chance to see this sensational right-hander from Japan tomorrow against Anthony Bass. And then the Mariners, after an off day Thursday, are here Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon.
It looks like Scott Feldman should be like playing the NFL or something. I think he's wearing a mouthpiece of some sort.
Well, later in my career, there were some pitchers that I...
Clemens did.
Pettit did. Those are 2 that come to mind. But I have seen it.
Stress release? I mean, grinding the teeth?
Well, Rocket said it was because he ground his teeth together when he was pitching, I guess.
That's not good dental hygiene.
No, it's not. But I think it was part of his... his grunt,
right.
To get
good dental plan.
Extra.
Good dental plan in the major leagues, though.
There is, yes.
2-2. Alonso rolls it to the right side. Kinsler over to Young for the out. 2 away. That's 7 straight retired by Scott Feldman. Well, here's our answer to our AT&T trivia question. The catcher that was named twice MVP in the All-Star game, the late Gary Carter. Oh, Montreal uniform there.
Yeah, old Cleveland Stadium. The mistake by the lake.
Couple of home runs for Carter.
Well, was that a tired yard? Look at Dave Winfield going back trying to get that one. Look at that batter's box. They don't care. They never dragged the infield back then.
Look at the tight pants they wear.
I love seeing footage of in the 60s and 70s. Dragging the infield every third inning. Davey Concepcion took one, or 1981, whatever it was.
I was going to say, was that the 60s or 70s?
Whatever. They never dragged the infield. Those guys took more bat hops off the soup coolers than anybody.
Yeah, they were playing on some AstroTurf infields too, though. Another chopper to the right side. Another easy 4-3 put out. 8 in a row now, retired by Scott Feldman. 3-1 Texas.
Let them know what I think, but at the same time, let them do their job. You know, they have a job too, just like I do. And if I'm catching and they're questioning every way I catch a ball, it's going to get old. You know, just like they have a job to call balls and strikes. So I won't ask them a whole lot unless I really feel strongly about something. But at the same time, I'm not big on conversation back there.
So not a lot of banter between Nick Huntley and the plate umpire tonight, Wally Bell. Were you a talker behind the plate, Brad?
I wasn't a talker. And you know what's funny? A lot of times umpires will ask the catcher after the hitter leaves, was that a strike? Where'd you have that? Or even ask, could you go look at that on the computer replay in the dugout between innings? And I kind of had one policy: be honest. If they missed it, tell them they missed it. If they didn't miss it, tell them they didn't miss it. If you get in a tiff and they were right, tell them they were right. If they were wrong, tell them they were wrong. Be honest, because the bottom line is, when the game's over, they're going to go look at it. And now, if you've lied or you've buttered them up, they know they can't trust you. It's not going to help you in the long run.
And the bottom line is, you're a lover, not a fighter.
I am a lover.
That's a different direction now. We're just kind of staying behind the mask.
You're sweet, Mud.
2-1 to the pitcher Feldman, and Volquez falls behind.
You need a quick out here.
Feldman, who doesn't get a chance to swing the bat, he looked at the first time, striking out. Taking all the way.
Mark Sweeney's down by the dugout. I know he's a talker. He'll talk to anybody. Were you a big talker to the catchers, Marco?
No, I really didn't. I just said a quick hello. I had a responsibility up there to.
Line drive. He took a good hack at that one and fouled it away scattered the bullpen of the Rangers.
I'll remember one guy, though, guys, and obviously a Yankees manager. Joe Girardi always talked, and I think he did it to really that gamemanship stuff. He wanted to talk to you too much when you were behind there.
And another good swing, and that's Quentin going back and makes the catch. Feldman tagged that one well.
You know what's funny about that, Mark, is catchers might play the gamesmanship with position players, but they never did it to other catchers because they didn't want to hear it when they stepped in the box.
Yeah. Well, Yogi Berra had the reputation Berra that he just was constantly chattering to every hitter. And I wonder if there's anyone that would fall into that category, Mark Sweeney or Mark Grant or you, Brad, and your career just would never shut up back there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, was there someone like
I never had many
Yogi?
at-bats, so I couldn't answer that question. But I do know this. I know Gary Carter, the late Gary Carter, we just talked about him. He was very chatty, talking to other hitters. He was a very friendly individual.
Well, there is that catchers union where catchers are very sort of courteous and civil to each other. So there's not a lot of chatter going on catcher to catcher as well.
Kinsler with one out in the third, single to left. Andrews, who followed with a walk, and they both came home on Josh Hamilton's long triple to right center. And then Hamilton scored on Beltre's sacrifice fly, and that's the 3 Texas runs tonight. Went after a ball there.
Good two-seamer there. You think this guy's a Texas Ranger fan?
Either that or he missed the 4 o'clock tee.
There should be a law. You cannot take off your shirt. Come on, dude.
Guns a-blazing.
He went around. Changeup gets Kinsler. That's 6 strikeouts now for Edinson Volquez.
Great arm action. Oh, two-seam effect, but taking a lot off that changeup.
That's his go-to pitch, I think, for the punch-out.
Yep.
Elvis Andrews steps up. He is grounded to short, walked and scored.
Ricky Renteria there on the left. He was a guy I did not know in the game of baseball, and is just a tremendous mind.
Yes, he does. He's fun to talk to.
Bench coach next to Buddy Black, Rick Renteria. In fact, his son just signed a contract with the Padres, an outfielder.
That's right. I believe he's in Peoria at the Padres complex.
One ball and 1 strike. Elvis Andrews just a tick under 300 coming into the game as Andrews, only 24.
You know, one of the things Rick Renteria told us, we were in Milwaukee. He said, give us a scouting report on your son. And he was very honest. He said, you know what? He doesn't have great speed, but he gets a great first jump, the ball off the bat in the outfield. That's what he really possesses.
And that can be more important than the speed necessarily, is that first step and the route you take to the ball.
Fly ball back of first, angling as Amarista gives way to Venable, and Venable with the out as Volquez works a 1-2-3 fifth. We're at the halfway mark. presents Padres Baseball. Brought to you by Sequan Casino. Get away for the day at the all-new Sequan Casino, San Diego's destination for casino gaming and excitement. And by your San Diego County Lexus dealer. And welcome back to beautiful Petco Park on this Tuesday night. The Texas Rangers, American League champs the last 2 years, the top offense in all of baseball against the Padres. And their right-hander Scott Feldman looking for his first win of the year, 0-6 coming in. Nick Hundley drove in the Padre run his first time up. Fastball at 92 for a strike. Hundley, Amarista, and the pitcher's spot here in the last of the 5th inning. 8 in a row retired by Feldman. Last base runner was Hundley.
See if the 3 is a slider or a cutter. Like 3's the curveball, Brad Ausmus.
Yeah, maybe 1 fastball, 2 cutter, 3 curve. It's always good when pitchers do that too. They don't go with the standard 2 as a curveball one. It makes it more difficult for the base runners to pick up the signs. It's not a bad idea.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Hundley, trying to get things going here in the bottom of the 5th inning for the Padres. Knocked in his 20th run of the season in the 2nd. Low again. Born in Hawaii, grew up in the Bay Area, Burlingame. Sharply hit and gloved neatly by Young. Took a hit away from Hundley. Quick hands by Michael Young.
Well, second time this evening that Nick Hundley has gone the opposite way. First time up in the 2nd inning, RBI single, a glove save, and a beauty. Nothing Nick Hundley could do there.
No, he did his job. He hit it hard. It's something you have to learn to deal with in the game of baseball. You can do everything right and come up with a big donut.
A Kurt Bavacqua presence tonight.
Yeah.
He'd catch. He'd do anything you want. Huh?
I thought you were talking about the big donut.
Alexei Amarista popped ashort his first time. Game 4 of the NBA Finals just in, and Miami defeated Oklahoma City 104-98 to lead 3-1 in the series. That'll please Yonder Alonso.
Brad, did you ever get tossed from a game?
I have. I've been tossed a number of times. I might even be in double digits.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of interaction with the catcher and the umpire, whether you're on defense or in the batter's box. So there's ample opportunity to be thrown out.
More as a hitter than a catcher?
It's probably about 50-50. I've been thrown out on both sides of the ball.
It's good to have balance in a catcher's life.
It is.
He wants this one in the dirt.
Two and one. Brad Ausmus in action. Padres catcher.
That's before the hockey style mask.
Oh, look at you pick it and throw it.
That is on the money. As Mark would say, nice salad, huh?
Yeah, you still got the good moss working.
The old bi-level haircut working there.
Brad Ausmus, one of the outstanding defensive catchers, an 18-year Major League career, 3 Gold Gloves, joining us behind the mask. Looks like that mask protected your face rather well.
I was fortunate. Nothing got through the bars.
Ground ball up the middle and a base hit for Amarista. That ends the string of 9 straight outs and brings the tying run to the plate.
Looks like a breaking ball. Stayed back nicely on that one.
It was an excellent swing. Was it a breaking ball?
Maybe a cutter or something?
Back door? Was he set up in the outside part?
So Volquez will hit. He fouled out to the right fielder. Cruz, his only time up. Might be up there to sacrifice, and Padres take their chances on Venable driving in a run. Rangers are looking for the bunt. Bunts right through it. Strike one.
This brings up a situation, catching situation. Sacrifice, breaking ball. And I know you probably didn't have it in the back of your mind, but the foul tip that all the time you get it in the back of the thigh or something off the dirt happens quite a bit with the pitcher up there, doesn't it?
That is one of the worst spots to get hit, believe it or not, is in the underside of the thigh. It hits the bat, hits the dirt, comes up and hits you in the unflexed hamstring, and that's as bad as being hit in the collarbone or the wrist.
Volquez, a couple of futile stabs, and the count is 2 strikes.
Really?
Try again. Foul. Strike 3. Well, we spoke to Nick earlier this season about the punishment he takes behind home plate.
I think the worst is when pitchers are hitting because they take weird swings and you get hit in weird areas. And then another one that's tough is when guys get hit by pitches. Everybody looks at the hitter because they got hit. But if it's a glancing blow or something, it'll glance off and you're reaching up for the ball and it might hit you in a weird spot too. So nobody ever sees the catcher that gets a ricochet off the hitter.
All right, Hundley giving us some insight as to the demands and the punishment of being behind home plate.
And John Baker alluded to it earlier. You don't like getting hit, but you take pride in getting hit and getting back up.
Amarista at first base, 2 outs, and Will Venable, leadoff man, is up. He's tapped out in front of home plate and lined to left.
Brad, could you imagine those catchers back in the day, regular hat turned backwards, just the cage?
I would want no part of that. The equipment has come so far in the last 30 years. It hasn't changed much other than that catching style mask and different materials in the chest protector. But, geez, in the 1940s, 1930s, I want no part of it. I think I would have been a shortstop.
Wasn't Johnny Bench one of the first catchers or the first catcher to wear the helmet backwards? I think he may have been.
He might have been. I don't know the answer to that. But,
and you went to Dartmouth.
I did. They did not have baseball 101 at Dartmouth. I was forced to
you
take.
You can split the atom, but
you don't. Physics, yeah.
Joe Girardi, you mentioned earlier, he was an academic All-America at Northwestern.
That's what we said. John Baker, Cal.
So the tools of ignorance, really a misnomer. 1-0 to Venable, 3-1. Rangers in front here in the last of the 5th inning. Good bluff. Venable took the pitch, a strike, 1-1. Pace slowing here. I'm going to quickly run down the Hall of Fame catches because it's such a list. Alphabetically: Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, Roger Bresnahan, Roy Campanella, Gary Carter, Mickey Cochran, that was my dad's favorite, Iron Mickey Cochran, Bill Dickey, Rick Farrell, Carlton Fisk, Josh Gibson, Gabby Hartnett, Ernie Lombardi, Biz Mackley, Ray Schalk, and Louis Santok. 3 of those, Gibson Mackey and Santop from the Negro Leagues. That's a pretty good list of talent,
it is.
isn't it? Now, when you think of catchers and home runs, the man behind the plate that has hit the most home runs is Mike Piazza, isn't he not?
Yep.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Well, the other four that are up there in career home runs, you're talking about Carter and Berra, Fisk and Bench. Those four are in the Hall of Fame. I got Mike Piazza having a plaque at Cooperstown.
I think you're right. You know, if the home viewer can push that TV screen about 18 inches to the right, I might be on that list.
Slow roller to second off the bat of Venable, and that's it for the Padres in the 5th inning. They leave a man, and after 5 at Petco, the Rangers lead by 2. The Baseball All-Star Game this summer from Kansas City, July 10th, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. The best in the American and National Leagues will compete, and of course the winner then serves as a home field advantage when we come to World Series time. The All-Star Game on Fox on July 10th. Well, the man at home plate undoubtedly will be there. He's the top vote getter of all the players in the major leagues, Josh Hamilton. And he served rope to right center field the last time up with 2 men on to drive in 2, and then later scored himself on Adrian Beltre's relatively shallow fly ball to right.
And the man in the middle here, Dick, was an all-star back in 1999 with Detroit Tigers, Brad Ausmus. That must have been a heck of an experience for you, Brad.
It was a blast. I said at the time, everyone should get to experience at least one All-Star game. That's how much fun it is. And to boot, it was actually at Fenway Park, which is where I grew up watching the Boston Red Sox.
How great. And you got to play in my favorite ballpark, as I grew up in the Detroit area, old Briggs Stadium, Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, I was there for the final game at Tiger Stadium. I'm on the lineup card from the final game at Tiger Stadium.
I've got a couple reserve seats with the Tiger in the metal brace, the frame of the seat from Tiger Stadium, as Hamilton a big swing and a miss at a changeup. Rocky Bridges, when he was a coach of the Angels, and we were in Detroit and sitting in the dugout, and he said, you know, there are a lot of great ballparks around the nation, but a kid coming up to the big leagues the first time, this should be where they go first, because you walk through that little narrow way, all you see is green, and all Hamilton sees is a line drive to left center field for another hit. And with it double decked all the way around, it just kind of grows. The stadium grows on you. And after, no matter where you've been playing in the minor leagues, you see double deck entire ballpark, major league.
My first big league game with the San Diego Padres was a similar type stadium, not a double deck stadium, but a stadium with a lot of history. That was at Wrigley Field.
Well, Fenway, Wrigley, and Detroit, those were the three that lasted. Now the Tiger Stadium is totally demolished, sad to say.
And it was neat playing at Tiger Stadium. You're in the dugouts. The dugouts are low. Even at my 5'11", I had to duck down. But you knew when you were sitting in that dugout that Ty Cobb sat in this dugout. It was, you could go to the list of names. And it's pretty impressive.
Fly ball hit well to right field, right center field. How well is that hit? It is by Venable up against the wall. Maben plays it on the bare hand, gets it into Amarista. He bobbles, but Hamilton will hold at third base. And a bullet over the right center field area as Venable, a game try, hustled, almost made a spectacular catch.
This ball was smoked just out of the reach. And Josh Hamilton had to hold up because he doesn't know. Somebody might lay out and catch that ball, and then you'll have to get back. Boy, tremendous power the opposite way by Adrian Beltre. My goodness.
And he's looking as if to say, how did that not go out? Well, it's Petco Park at close to 9 o'clock.
Oh, and at the ballpark in Arlington, that's a 2-run shot. No doubt about it.
I'm willing to bet if there's an out or two in the inning, they wave Hamilton home and take the chance. But with no outs, Nelson Cruz coming up, they'll go ahead and let him hit with men on second and third.
Cruz has walked and struck out. Boy, the RBI totals in the middle of this Texas lineup are frightening for any pitcher. And they start really at the very top of the order. The leadoff man has 35 runs batted in. That's more than the Padres leader. Ball one. You go 35 for Kinsler. Andrews has knocked in 28. Hamilton leads the planet with 64. Beltre now with 44. Then Cruz on deck with 39. I mean, there's just no place to lean and say, well, maybe I can get an easy out here. Infield playing halfway up the middle. And a line drive left field, base hit into the corner. That'll score two more with ease. And on his way to second is Nelson Cruz as he knocks in his 40th and 41st, and it's a 5-1 lead. 3 consecutive hits, all well struck. Hamilton a single, double Beltre, double Cruz.
Brett, I look at the glove of Hundley. It looks like he just got it up. You wanted it down a little bit more in.
Yeah, it looks like they were going in. I'm assuming that they probably wanted it elevated a little bit, get it on the hands, and he left it a little more on the plate than he wanted. If he elevates and gets a little more towards the corner, you're probably looking at a jam shot.
So a pitching change made. That's it for Volquez. Brad Brock has been beckoned from the bullpen. Authored by a catcher, 1975, Game 6, Carlton Fisk waving it to the foul pole against the Cincinnati Reds to force Game 7 of that World Series. And then Joe Morgan and company took over, and the Reds won again. Home run leaders among catchers, there he is. Piazza 427, then Bench, Fisk, Vera, and Carter. Everyone but Piazza on that list in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think Mike's got 1 or 2 more years to wait, the 5-year wait before you go on the ballot.
It's soon, but I don't think I don't know if it's this coming.
It's either
year.
next
2013
year,
maybe.
It might be.
That was the graphic I was talking about. That I was farther to the right. Now that the home viewer could actually see it.
Brock facing David Murphy with Cruz, a 2-run double out at second base. Still no one out here in the 6th inning. You're getting a taste of why this Texas lineup is the best offense in all of baseball. One and 2 the count. Well, you saw the home run list of those 16 Hall of Fame catchers that we rattled off an inning ago. The catcher with the best lifetime batting average, a .320 lifetime batting average, was the Tigers' Mickey Cochran. Out of play.
We've chewed some of the same dirt at Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, there you go. Well, as a young kid growing up, and the Tigers being my team and my dad's team, and he talked about Tommy Bridges had the great curveball, and Mickey Cochran was the catcher and was a good hitter, and Charlie Gehringer made everything look easy at second base. Fly out of play, and today I had a throw myself. I'm the same age as Al Kaline, and received a call from number 6 Hall of Famer Kaline.
Nice.
And I always rued the fact that he, being 18 out of Baltimore High School and played right field, and I was 18 from Armada, Michigan, and he got it and I didn't, and I've held that against him all these years.
What were the Tigers thinking, Dick?
I don't know. Didn't they want slow and ineffective, weak arm?
Got to know Al when I was in Detroit. One of the nicest men in the game.
Isn't he? Nice play by Amarista, as moving to third is Cruz on the 4-3 putout. And time now for the San Diego County Credit Union factoid of our game tonight. Here are the catchers that are active managers in the big leagues, and pretty much through the history of the game, catchers seem to make good managers. Melvin, Bochy, Girardi, Matheny, Scioscia, and Yost. You ever think you'd like to manage?
Yeah, I've thought about it. Yeah, it's crossed my mind. Maybe sometime down the line, if you get the, if I were to get the opportunity. There's only 30 jobs out there available.
Infield draws in with Mike Napoli. He's walked and struck out. Cruz standing at third, 1 gone, and a 5-1 Texas lead. Napoli 1 for the last 21.
Brad, we just showed some catchers now managing. And speaking of managing, you're going to manage the Israeli team?
I am.
And you've already been over there once. So for the Olympics, right? Or not the Olympics.
For the WBC.
WBC.
Yes. I was over there the end of May.
It's going to be exciting for you.
I had never been there before, so my wife and I took a trip and saw the sights, and I even surfed the Mediterranean.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't it a shame baseball's not an Olympic sport anymore?
That's got to change.
When I was a kid, I always dreamt of being on the Olympic baseball team. That was before it was a sport.
Right.
Now it's come and gone.
Well, that's a great opportunity for you.
It should be fun.
Who are some of the other names that we would recognize that might be a part of that team?
Well, the Israeli team actually has to qualify because there's 16 teams that have to qualify, 4 different qualifiers. Our qualifier is
Headley able to check the runner and throw out. Napoli 2 away.
Our qualifier is in the 3rd week of September in Jupiter, Florida. Because it's in September, major league guys will still be playing for their organizations. They won't be a part of the team. There are minor league players who will really comprise the majority of the team.
Did you see any talent in Israel?
Did I see? I saw some. They were mostly high school age games that I saw.
Any talent?
Yeah, actually there was. It was comparable to American high school.
They're going to take the bat out of Michael Young's hand. They walk him intentionally, and Scott Feldman, the pitcher, is due next. Although Feldman Had a couple of good hacks the last time up and lined deep to left field.
So, Brad, once again, we look at that list of the men. Why do you feel that catchers make better managers? I shouldn't say better managers, but there's an abundance of managers that were catchers.
So you're assuming that I feel that catchers make better managers.
Yeah.
That's a fair assumption. I have to. I was a catcher, so you're right. The one aspect of a catcher's job that other positions don't necessarily or aren't necessarily in tune with are catchers deal with pitchers and they deal with being everyday players often. And sometimes they're backups. But they understand what it's like to go out there and grind it out every single day, go through a batting slump. However, they also understand what it's like for a starting pitcher to go out there and not pitch well and have to sit on the bench for 5 days. And they understand what it's like when a closer comes in a one-run game and the tying run at second. He understands the adrenaline there. So I think catchers have to deal with and relate to both position players and pitchers. And I think that gives them insight when it comes to making decisions and taking their egos and personalities into account.
Brock ahead now on the count to Feldman. 2 strikes. Trying to slam the door on a 2-run inning and keep Cruz right there at third base. Line drive, base hit. Feldman. Another run for the Rangers. And around to third goes Young as Feldman produces a solid RBI single. My, oh my. Well, you didn't expect that. The Rangers, you got 8 places in the lineup with all great hitters and with the DH 9, and then they put a pitcher in and he rips a broke.
Well, remember last time up, Feldman smoked that ball down near the tarp in the bullpen of the Texas Rangers. You talk about throwing the head down and in. You see the reaction from Nick. As soon as that ball is hit, he's looking in the dugout like, my gosh.
So to the top of the order, and Kinsler, who has a single in 3 at-bats and a run scored. So another crooked number, a 3-run third inning, and now a 3-run 6th for the power-packed Texas Rangers.
When did you take the blame, Brad, on some issues on the field that happened on the field? Any
as a catcher?
Yes.
Well, I've walked into the dugout and said, that was my fault. That was a bad call. Sometimes you think you're making the right call, and then almost as the pitch is being delivered, you're going, I'm a moron.
Fly ball in his shallow center. Out goes shortstop Cabrera to make the play. All 6 runs charged to starter Edinson Volquez. It's 6-1 for the visitors.
Baseball, I relate best with other people that play my position. I don't know if we've got some sort of fetish for pain or some sort of sickness that kind of spreads throughout everybody that's ever worn catcher's gear in a Major League Baseball game. But when you see them, all of us have the same kind of glazed look in the eye. You know, we kind of like the nicks and bruises and the bumps and the foul tips. And you know, I always take pride in taking a foul ball off the forearm and asking people, they're like, "Did you guys see me get hit in the forearm? Did I react or no? I didn't react. Yes. Okay, that's good."
Badge of honor is nicks and bruises. It's a linebacker mentality.
Catchers are, I don't want to say a different breed, but there's things that happen as a catcher that don't affect catchers but may affect other positions. Here's a for instance. When it's cold outside, oftentimes when you play in Chicago, say early in the season, it's 30 degrees. It's cold, you're miserable, you don't want to be there. But when you're catching, it's what pitch is next, who's on deck, what's the score, what inning is it, who's on the bases, who's warming up in the pen, who do they have available to pinch hit. And all these things are going through your mind. You don't even notice it's 30 degrees.
Of course, you also have more equipment on than all the rest. That's true.
That's true.
Maben leads it off with a base hit to right center field. Padres down 6-1, and Maben with his first hit tonight as we go down to Layla Rahimi. Layla.
Speaking of equipment, you guys, this is one of the chest protectors that Nick Hundley and John Baker wear, and this is the traditional matching Padres blue. If you've noticed, on Sundays, Nick Hundley will often wear a double camouflage, a desert camouflage on his jersey, and then a more traditional green camouflage on his chest protector. And he says the reason why is because the desert camouflages the ball. So this is much easier in the camouflage green for him to be able to see it and his pitcher to be able to see it as well.
Line drive coming back, you don't want to lose it in the catcher's equipment.
And the fielders. The fielders might lose it in that chest protector.
Chase Headley has a single and a flyout. And Carlos Quentin on deck. The Padres have some work to do. They're down 6-1 here in the last of the sixth.
That brings up shadows. It's tough for hitters. Is it tough for catchers? Like midday games, 3:30, when you got the shadows coming into play?
It can be tough. The big upside of being a catcher is you know what pitch is coming.
Right.
So you know where it's going. I would say a bigger problem is when there's something behind the pitcher. A lot of stadiums have the batter's eye where it's dark, like we do here at Petco Park, and you can pick up the ball fine. But some stadiums, like Fenway Park comes to mind, you have people sitting in the bleachers and you lose it in the shirts. You can lose the ball in the shirts of the fans in the crowd.
Ground ball foul. Well, Scott Feldman of the Rangers, 0-6 with an ERA of 6.5. His 8th start of the season, and his teammates said, "Hey, we got to get this guy a W," and they've given him a 6-1 lead to work on.
Going back to what Layla was saying, one advancement in chest protectors that most people probably don't know about is the material inside the chest protector.
Kevlar?
No, it's not Kevlar. They've gone from a standard hard foam to a slow release foam, which absorbs the ball. So the ball hits, kind of dents the chest protector, and it doesn't bounce right back out, so it's not pushing the ball back out. Another way catchers can help control that ball in the dirt and keep it close to them. Almost like one of what are those beds called? The beds with
the Posturepedic beds.
The Posturepedic beds. It's similar to that.
2-2. And the throw to first base. Maben down by 5. Unlikely he's got the green light here. In fact, may have the red light.
Well, you talked about Scott Feldman and the runs tonight. Prior to this start, received 1 or 0 runs of support in each start during his current 6 consecutive defeats. So he's getting some love tonight. He's getting some wiggle room.
Chop to the right side and by the first baseman Young into right field. Maben will head to third, and with no one out, the Padres have runners at the corners. 5 hits in the 2 games of this series for Chase Headley.
Well, the base hit is great. A little first to third action for San Diego. I need a little bit more on the slugging percentage. All singles tonight for the Padres. They have 6 hits, 6 singles.
Well, Carlos Quentin, who's got the power, one swing, he can get the Padres right back in the thick of this game. 6 home runs in the first 17 games as a Padre. He has struck out twice tonight. 2 of the 3 strikeouts logged by Feldman. That's where he's pitched him, inside. Left-hander Robbie Ross tuning up for Texas. Out of the strike zone, 1-1. We're in the last of the 6th. No one out. Maben and Headley getting things started with singles. Bring up the cleanup hitter, Carlos Quentin. Texas on top, 6-1. Boy, Feldman's had Quentin's number.
Down and in, down and away.
Hasn't thrown him a strike. Thrown him maybe in the 3 at bats, only a couple of strikes.
Yeah, you're right. That swing there is definitely more on the defensive side than the offensive type of swing that we've seen him take. 2-seamer down and in.
4 pitches, all well out of the strike zone. No reason to elevate your pitches. Keep it down there, huh?
And if you elevate, go way up. Don't miss it around the belt buckle. Go up around the shoulders, maybe.
It's tough. It is tough for a sinker ball to elevate. You really got to get it out there.
Change up. Fastball in, fastball away. Curveball. This might be the curveball here. Or the splitter.
Struck him out for the 3rd time. Did not throw him a strike. Every pitch was below the knees. 3 up, 3 times struck out, Carlos Quentin.
And he went to the curveball, down and away. You know, good command of bad pitches off the plate, down and in and down and away.
Runners in scoring position. Padres having their difficulties getting men in, even on and out. 1st and 3rd now with 1 out to Alonso. And this should be 2. There's 1. Bad throw, and Alonso is safe. And the run scores. And a bad throw by Andrus. The Padres get a run at 6-2. And Alonso credited with an RBI on the fielder's choice.
Andrus had plenty of time to.
I was just going to ask you, Mud. What do you think? Can't assume a double play?
That's an RBI.
No, I'm glad it's an RBI for Yonder, but as a general rule in baseball, on a play like that.
But that's exactly why you can't assume a double play. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm going the opposite way. I'm saying he had plenty of time, and he probably turns that 9.5 times out of 10.
Exactly. Like I said, Alonso doesn't have plays. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, he had him by four strides. Had plenty of time to maybe even a little crow hop to throw a strike. Kind of rushed it a little bit.
The Padres need runs, and they get a gift there on the errant throw by Andrus, but no error charged. But realistically, that should be a throwing error, but baseball scoring, you can't assume the double play. And so Alonso has an RBI, his 18th. Cabrera trying to keep it going. Right down the middle. 88th pitch from Scott Feldman. 1-1 now to Cabrera. Saving a fielder's choice. Stole a base and scored in the 2nd. Grounded out second base the last time. 1-2. Curveball.
Well, with the stuff that Feldman was tossing up there tonight, it's hard to believe going into this game, his record.
Yeah, his sinker is looking. I would say between Marquis' sinker last night and Feldman's sinker tonight is two of the better sinkers we've seen at Petco.
I mean, 0-6.
Late swing, foul back. Going back to the discussion about the Hall of Fame and Mike Piazza, he will be eligible in 2013. He and Sandy Ellimore, two catchers, are eligible in 2013. It's going to be an interesting vote that year. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Craig Biggio, Kurt Schilling, Sammy Sosa. It'll be interesting to see how, in light of performance enhancing,
in light of PEDs,
discussion,
and also
yeah.
when you have that many people on the ballot, it takes votes away from people.
ground ball up the middle and a base hit for Cabrera. The inning is still alive as Alonso turns and heads to third. Well, the Padres 6-2 and a couple of men on with 2 outs for Nick Hundley. Folks, you can enjoy a Padres game with your friends, you know, and save with Bud's Night Out. Now, here's what you do. You buy one Padres ticket, you get a second ticket half price on select games and seating areas only. Get your tickets at Padres.com/on deck. Bud's Night Out. Bring a friend. Bring a pal. Have a Bud. Bring a Bud.
Go out with Buddy Black.
There you go. Make sure if you're not bringing the little lady to the game, bring back a Bud and a little Voss.
There you go.
Nick Hundley singled in the first run for the Padres, gave them the early lead 1-0, and smashed one at the first baseman Michael Young. Took care of it unassisted. First and third, 2 outs here in the 6th. Yeah, that one worked in the Franklin Delano Roosevelt era.
Hey, I'd heard about a week ago they're going to try to outlaw that play.
I had heard the same thing.
Did he go?
I don't think it's official yet, but I know they're talking about it.
Yeah.
If you're going to outlaw the third to first, why wouldn't you outlaw the inside move to second?
I totally agree. I say keep it because you know what? It might once out of 100 times, and I think he went absolutely. Hey, might work once in 100 times, but hey, that one time is important for your club.
I wonder how much of speeding the game up comes into play when this is being discussed.
Well, then make the strike zone bigger. Call a real strike a strike if you want to speed up the game.
Spoken like a pitcher.
But when you hear the reaction of fans around the major leagues, what's the one occasion where you know they're always going to boo? When the pitcher throws to first base or fakes a throw to third or first base. I mean, it just kind of runs it over. Now, you got to do it, understandably.
Right.
But some overwork it.
I thought that was a trick question. I thought it was when I came to hit.
Hundley takes it over but low, 2-1. That's another part of being a catcher, self-deprecation. It's very important not to take yourself too seriously.
Well, you know, that's from locker room warfare. There's so much back and forth and banter between players. You learn that if you make fun of yourself first and you beat them to the punch, you disarm them.
That's good thinking. 2 balls and a strike to Hundley. That's in there, 2-2.
Still good movement at 94 from Feldman on the 95th pitch of the evening. He's got the makings of being a workhorse. That build of his.
Two on, 2 out, 2-2 the count. And he takes it away. Full count. Hundley trying to get on there, bring the tying run to the plate here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
I was just going to say, Dick, this is an important pitch right here for Feldman.
Kinsler way out on the grass, shaded over towards second, so that hole on the right side open for Hundley again. His single was to the right, and his hard ground ball was to the first baseman going the other way.
And Michael Young now playing behind the runner at first base, being Cabrera. He's off at the pitch here.
Could still go third to first.
Exactly. That's why you got to be careful. And this is the perfect situation for that. I call it getting Ruben Rivera.
The only reason you might not want to go third to first is it's 3-2. This is a big pitch. You don't even want him thinking about the runner. Get the out at the plate. Don't muddle his mind.
Struck him out. So the Padres get a run on 3 hits and lead 2. After 6, the Rangers by 4.
Diego Padres, as you can see here behind the mask, it's been our feature tonight talking about catchers. And Nick Hundley doing the job even before the game starts. I guess they say perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Always practicing, and you can see in game doing a real nice job blocking these balls, keeping them in front. Nice job by Nick Hundley blocking these balls.
Well, we hope you will join us for the post-game show. We'll have details on Josh Hamilton's return. It's been a couple of runs batted in and a couple of big hits and 2 runs scored. Also more on blocking baseballs from the catcher's perspective, and Nick Hundley mic'd up before today's game. We'll have the post-game show for you here in just a few. Guys, back to you.
All right, Andy Mazer will be there for you as the Padres now pull within 4, 6-2 with a run on 3 hits in the 6th inning. Brad Brock back to work. Elvis Andrus, and then Hamilton and Beltre. That's another thing about this lineup. When you walk 4, as did the starter Volquez, you roll it around and the big guns keep coming up.
Now in a pitch like that, are you asking the umpire where'd that miss?
I might, yes.
Falls right down the middle.
A lot of times you try and do it out of earshot of the hitter. There's that whole "don't show me up" thing with umpires and players.
How can you possibly communicate with the man behind you and not have the hitter here?
Well, I'll tell you what will happen later in the game in this situation, or if it's a close game, I might ask him right there in front of the hitter. Early in the game, I'll wait till the at bat's over.
Those pitches look very close to that inside corner, don't they? 2-2. Josh Hamilton, 2 for 3 as he returns to the starting lineup with 2 RBIs.
You know, a lot of times with umpires, you let them establish their strike zone in the first couple innings.
Andrus goes the other way and finds the hole between first and second as he joins the Texas hit parade. Leadoff hit here in the 7th off Brad Brock. And here's Hamilton.
They establish their strike zone as maybe giving an inch off the outside corner. That's fine if they're consistently calling it. But if we get into a tight game late in the game and suddenly we're not getting it, then there's a beef.
Was there one umpire that you felt was not necessarily the strike zone, maybe generous, not generous type, but was consistent? I mean, you just knew that very seldom would he call something out of his predicted zone.
But there was a couple guys. John Shulock and Tim McClellan were 2 guys that were pretty consistent with their strike zones.
Here's Hamilton. Runner goes, and Andrus is out of there. Hundley takes care of him.
It's just like I taught him.
Well, analyze the release here, Brad.
Well, you know, Nick's a good thrower, period. And look at Cabby straddling the base. I love to see that. So many middle infielders come in front of the bag. Everything's good. Exchange is good. He's moving in the direction of his throw. That's very important. You want your feet lined up where you're throwing it, and you want your weight moving through that throw in the direction of where your target is. But getting back to Cabby, so many middle infielders nowadays, and it drives me nuts.
You got to straddle the bag, don't you?
So many, almost, I'm going to say close to 90% field the ball on a stolen base in front of the bag, and they have to reach back to make the tag. I don't know if they do that because they think they're going to get hurt straddling the bag or not, but Cabby did an excellent job of straddling it, and when you're straddling it, you can just catch the ball and drop the tag right down in front of the base.
Well, that was a great throw and a great tag by Cabrera.
If he's in front of the base there, he may, Andrus could be safe because he slides the back part of the bag.
1-2 to Hamilton. Fouls off another. Hill missed the weekend series, was in the hospital, IVs, dehydrated, stomach virus. Used only as a defensive replacement last night. Back in the lineup tonight after he struck out the first time against Volquez. A triple and a single. And he takes ball 2, 2-2. Ripped at the shortstop. Cabrera on one hop. Throws him out. Man, oh man, that ball was smoked. 2 gone. And the dog days of summer presented by Petco. They're coming back, folks. Enjoy a Padres game with your canine at Petco Park as they take on the Astros. That gives you plenty of time to plan. Tuesday, July 17th. It's a 7:05 game. Come early, enjoy the dog tail, get it? Gate party at the park. Don't wait. Applications are due Monday, June 25th. For more info, visit petco.com/Petco Park. Line foul, slicing down into the right field corner. That had plenty of depth off the bat of Beltre, who has a sacrifice fly, a double, and has scored a run. That's hit well to right field, down the line, slicing at the pole, and it's off the wall. No, it's in the seats and back out. That's a home run for Beltre. Into the Petco porch. It's 7-2 as Beltre makes the Grand Tour his 12th home run of the year.
I think that ball may have hit the screen on the foul pole. I heard it rattle up against something. Had him 0-2, and we talked about the strength of Beltre. Slider, down and away, taking it that way. And off the screen.
Yeah, just above what would have been the yellow line. Well, that's good direction for Beltre as he takes a little yellow paint and makes it 7-2. But Black is going to ask for a review. The umpires will convene here and see whether or not they have any doubt about it being a home run. If they do, they'll go back and check on instant replay. That's the prerogative of Bud Black. And it looks as if that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to go back and check just exactly where that struck the foul pole. Was it below the yellow line or above?
Well, we saw the bullpen playing as umpires. They immediately signaled home run. But the bottom line here, Brad, you want to get it right.
Absolutely. Check it. We can see the replay right here. It looks like it's a home run, but they're on the umpires are on the field and haven't seen the replay. And unless they're 100% sure of where that ball hit, check it. It could be a game changer.
Brian Knight, the first base umpire, it's his call. Yeah, that's above the black line around the foul pole is the line of delineation, and it was above the black wrap around the foul pole.
I think you're right, Dick. I think that was a home run.
Yeah, Dick, here's that black line you're talking about. And I think the ball hit in this general area right there.
Your telespitter didn't work for us there, but they'll go back and make sure of the call, and they confirm it is a home run for Adrian Beltre.
Mike Winters made the call right there, signaling the home run. Del Mar resident.
Yes.
Seen him walking his dog.
Really?
Yeah.
Close by?
He's not far from me. I've seen him walking his dog with his wife.
White cane or?
No cane. Thick glasses, though.
No, he's a good guy.
The old rip and compliment, huh? Love it.
He loves San Diego. Loves Chargers. Had a big discussion about football with him at one of the charity events. And we've really tamed it all about umpires. And when I was a kid, you really did yell, "Kill the umpire." That was part of the deal.
Hey, it's a tough gig.
Yeah.
And 99.9% of the time they get it right.
And so does Nelson Cruz as he belts a solid single to right, and Brad Brock getting roughed up by these Texas Rangers. Well, don't miss the Padres deal of the week. You enjoy great seats with in-seat service while your Padres take on the Seattle Mariners this Friday. Now here's the deal: $44, and you live like the elite. And the deal won't last long, so don't wait. Visit Padres.com/OnDeck to find the latest deals and promotions. Check swing goes around David Murphy, who's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. So you might wonder, how do you get to sit in those really classy, big-time seats and get all the service? And the waiters and waitresses, they just take your order, drinks and food. Well, $44 is all Friday night. Take advantage. High pop-up. Yonder Alonso just off the bag in foul territory for the final out. But the home run by Beltre gives the Rangers a 5-run lead. Carl's Jr. star of the game, and it is the starting right-hander for the Rangers, Scott Feldman. 0-6 on the season, but leaves the game after 6 innings of fine pitching, allowed 2 runs and 7 hits, and stands to win his first game of the year.
He had it all working tonight. Every pitch. He did not walk a San Diego Padre. And now the bullpen has 5 runs to work with.
This is the young left-hander Robbie Ross that they're so high on. He's only 22 years of age. Actually, he's going to be 23 on the weekend. Logan Forsythe will be the pinch hitter as Craig Gentry goes to center and Hamilton shifts to left field. Ross broke in last year, didn't actually come up to the big club, but they were raving about him throughout spring training. 26-20 in the minor leagues. What a play by Beltre.
He's good.
He's really good.
Forsythe robbed by the veteran at third.
Hey, a couple of things there. First of all, Logan Forsythe shouldn't change a thing. That ball is just rocketed. And secondly, hit it to the wrong guy. Like you said, that guy is an all-star. He's a stud player.
Great hands, great feet. There's no panic in his body when the ball's hit to him.
Jesus Guzman will pinch hit for Brad Brock. Well, the good news, though, is Forsythe apparently is healthier now and about to rejoin the team. He had a terrific batting practice tonight, hammered some balls deep up in the second tier and left.
I was going to say, please give me some good news.
Guzman with the count 2-0. Ground ball into right field for a base hit. He continues to do excellent duty as a pinch hitter. For Guzman, that is his 7th pinch hit. Top of the order, Will Venable. As Brad Boxberger getting ready in the bullpen. Apparently we're going to see him in the top of the 8th inning. So they'll throw the young right-hander at this Texas Ranger lineup. Venable slaps that one deep but foul, way down in the corner. So Feldman's line, 6 innings, 2 runs, both earned, 7 hits, not a walk, and he struck out 4. Inside. And the attendance tonight at Petco on this Tuesday night, 25,889. Hope to see you out here tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 game time, 2:30 for Padres Live. Off day Thursday, and then Seattle, Ichiro and company come in Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Padres 2 runs on 8 hits. Rangers 7 runs, 9 hits. But Texas using extra base hits tonight. A 1-hopper to second. Andrews fires to first, not in time.
Second time tonight, huh?
Yeah. You can understand it a little bit with Will Venable running, because he runs so well, so Andrews might have to speed up his exchange, but not as much when Yonder was running.
Great effort by Venable. He didn't want to be doubled up, and he's safe on the fielder's choice. And Cameron Maben steps up. Maben a single and scored in the 6th inning. Well, it's a catcher's day. We've taken you behind the mask, giving you insight into this very difficult position. Intriguing position for those who don't know what it's like to pull on the gear.
Or take it off all sweaty and smelly after a game.
That's a little more than we need to know. Ground ball up the middle, and a base hit for Maben on his way to third. Is Venable with 2 outs. Well, you think back to Forsythe lining out. Padres might have a big inning going.
I think we've got a moneymaker in the works, Brad Ausmus, as we take a look at Maben fighting that one off. And literally, that bat, did that go all the way back to the screen? I thought I heard that hit the field, Mike, by the screen.
Yeah, hit the screen.
These car scent, the evergreen trees you can hang.
Sure.
New car smell, that evergreen smell. How about Brad Ausmus start smelly catcher gear smell? You never lose that feel of the clubhouse.
For first and third to Headley, who rolls it to short. Andrews goes the long way, and he throws a strike this time, and the inning is over. Padres a couple of singles, but they die on base. We've completed 7. Wisconsin leads 7-2 in the Padre Live pregame show. We asked, what is the worst collision, runner and catcher? And most of you thought this was the most violent, and because of the injury to Buster Posey that took him out the rest of the season with a fractured leg. That right foot being caught underneath him. There's nothing fun about any of the four choices, that's for certain. Brad Boxberger comes in to pitch for the Padres in the top of the 8th inning, and Logan Forsythe stays in the game at second base.
Who was the one guy that cleaned your clock, Brad?
Oh, I can barely remember it because he knocked me out. It was Scott Besednik. It was a throw from Carlos Beltran in center field at Minute Maid Park. I had to reach to my right, came back, and Besednik hit me just under the mask. Mask went flying all the way to the first base dugout. I was spun around, knocked out, landed on my face. Somehow the ball stayed in my glove. And Besednik ended up being out, but Chad Qualls, the pitcher, had to reach into my glove and take it out while I was unconscious to make sure the runner didn't go from first to second.
Napoli, a couple of big swings. He's 0 for 2 tonight, and his struggles continue. 1 for the last 22. Still, you see the numbers: 11 home runs and 29 runs batted in, hitting out of the 7th spot. Right, 3. Brad Boxberger gets Napoli on 3 pitches. Well, Mike Scioscia takes the brunt of this one as Chili Davis comes locomotive style into home plate. Scioscia hangs onto the ball.
And Scioscia was one of the best in terms of blocking the play. That was really his forte. He set the standard.
How about the sweet relay, though, from Kenny Landreau to Mariano Duncan with the Jerry curl working? That was sweet.
Scioscia never gave you a place to slide, did he? He just blocked it off. You had to run over it.
He dropped his knees a lot of times right in front of home plate, and you had nowhere to go except through him.
It was like this, probably sliding into a pillar.
And you know, when we look at all those videos, I still think the most remarkable thing is, with the exception of Posey, which just happened last year, and I mentioned this in the pregame, none of those guys had their masks on. They all took their masks off, which was the old school way of doing things.
1-1 to Young. Oh, how about Bo Jackson at 235 pounds with a sprinter's speed coming in on you? Oh, man, that's a football takeout.
Hey, look, Rick Dempsey's just wearing the regular hat.
That is such a mismatch. Rick Dempsey against Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
That could have been worse, I think.
That could have been could have been a knee. Sadly, I was in the Coliseum broadcast booth for NBC when Bo Jackson was tackled from behind by the Cincinnati Reds, or the Cincinnati Bengals, when he was a L.A. Raider, and they dragged him down, and that was his career on the hip injury. Young pulls it foul down the left field line.
You know, there are injuries where you say, oh, okay, this guy's done. And then there are injuries where you watch it and it's like, man, I didn't see that. You know, because when you watch Bo Jackson getting taken down, you know, it kind of falls down to his ankle, then kind of tugs on his leg. And it's just one of those where you say, really? But, man, the extent of that, career ending.
Dick, of all the athletes you've seen in the sports you've done, where does Bo Jackson rank?
Yeah. 2-sport star. Yeah, I'll never forget the home run in the All-Star game in Anaheim. A great runner. Who knows how many yards he might have gained had he stayed healthy. He was a young guy when he went out. Oh, watch out. Boxberger gets out of the way of the line drive off the bat of Young.
That was right back up the box.
Very good, Brad Austin.
Thank you. It's my first day.
Coming right at you.
Pitch and duck.
That's scary. It's amazing how the human body can react so quickly when a ball 100 miles an hour is coming right at you.
But in the discussion, to answer your question, would be Jim Brown, who was an All-America lacrosse player and football player, and so ahead of his time. I mean, he just was impossible to tackle.
Where would you rank Mark Grant on that list?
I would rank Mark Grant on that list. Are we talking about great athletes or athletes who are great talkers?
The second one.
Well, I'd give him. I never give an A. I mean, I'm a tough grader, so I give him an A minus.
That's very nice of you, Professor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you an A minus. And you're edging up there. You know, I grade on the bell curve. Pick up a tab now and then, you might have an A. You know, the old teacher likes an apple now and then. You know, bring him or her an apple.
I didn't mean to create a riff.
Next trip, I'm bringing a crate of apples.
Red Delicious, if you please.
Right. You know, guys, something I've noticed about this Texas Ranger team, and I know we can talk statistics and rankings. These guys don't feel for the baseball, Brad. They attack the baseball.
Gentry hits it right at Maben in center.
Now imagine them with an American League platform and a DH instead of having the pitch. Although Feldman swung the bat pretty well for him tonight.
I mean, they don't feel for the baseball. They see the ball and they attack the ball and swing with some serious aggression.
Is part of that just the product of playing in a home run friendly ballpark? I mean, players, you know, are rewarded for swings where they aren't in a place like this?
It certainly doesn't hurt their confidence as a hitter.
Ron Washington's lineup certainly with plenty of muscle.
I think also there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on hitter to hitter, just like pitchers do. You know, starting pitchers a lot of time, they don't want to be outdone by their teammate. Well, the same thing happens in a lineup offensively.
Well, look at this guy, Ian Kinsler. He's a 30 home run, 30 steal guy a couple of times. Leads off with 7 home runs, 35 runs batted in. Yeah, it's a rocking chair job for you, Ron. You know, just take it easy there. You got all the guns. Up the middle, base hit for Kinsler. He's got 2 hits tonight. Well, if you're into collisions, here's one more. I would have voted for this one. In the All-Star game, Pete Rose taking out Ray Fosse because that ended Fosse's career.
And there's a hit like the Bo Jackson football tackle where you kind of say, really? Career ending? You know, you hit him in the chest protector, he didn't hit him in the head, but sometimes you just don't know what the human body can absorb.
Right.
First and second for the Rangers in the 8th inning, 2 outs against the rookie Boxberger, and here's Elvis Andrus.
Once again, look at that swing. He's coming out of his shoes right there.
These are the middle infielders. Yeah. Kinsler and Andrus.
Well, they're in a comfortable spot. They have a 7-2 lead. They're in the 8th inning. He's facing a guy he's never seen before. And he's hoping first pitch heater, I'm going to unload and try and drive a run or 3 in right here.
With that swing, I'd throw a changeup.
And what was that?
Changeup.
Okay, I'll give you an A.
You should have been a catcher.
Yeah.
Oh, to have hair again.
You're telling me.
Drive to center field. Maben back, and makes the catch against the wall. Oh, my. Maben flashing the leather that delighted the Petco Park crowd last year. Steals extra bases from Andrus, and that's it for the Rangers in the 8th inning. Timed it perfectly against the wall. Numbers from Vegas for Texas. Leading 7-2. Cameron Maben, a couple of hits and a nice catch, and the first pitch to Carlos Quinton rolled to second, and an easy out to open the 8th inning. 0 for 4 night for Quinton. And here's the catch again, timing it, knowing that fence is coming. And just enough time to square up and take the pounding. It's not just catchers that get bounced around.
Oh, it sounds like a defenseman in a hockey game going up against the glass. Huh? A little forecheck.
Thank goodness we're not at Wrigley.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, outfielders take that into consideration. We talked about that before. He wouldn't have been as aggressive there if it was at Wrigley.
Probably not, yeah.
Alonso bounces it off the glove of Ross, caroms to Kinsler, and a 1-4-3 put out. 2 away in the 8th.
Brad Ausmus' favorite baseball movie?
Field of Dreams.
I'm with you. That's my favorite.
Father and son playing catch.
Yeah. How many times have you seen it?
Oh, I'm going to say at least half a dozen.
Okay, honestly,
you cry every time.
Cry every time.
My wife says you're not going to cry this time, are you?
My wife says I don't have tear ducts.
Well, that's knocked out playing your position behind the plate. There's a couple of old sportscasters. They'll tell you some stories. Go over the hitters. Come on now. Hubba, hubba. Cabrera has scored a run, stolen a base, and singled tonight. 2 runs, 9 hits for the Padres. Maben with a pair of singles. Chase Headley with a pair of singles to lead the way. Ross strikes him out. A 1-2-3 inning for the 22-year-old from Lexington, Kentucky. On to the 9th. Brought to you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. By Mazda, we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Acura, Advance. Top of the 9th inning at Petco, the Rangers leading 7-2, and Alex Henshaw in from the Padre bullpen. And tomorrow afternoon, Yu Darvish goes for his 9th win with the Rangers. He's fun to watch. He wasn't exaggerating. He's got 8 pitches. 3.57 ERA, the top rookie pitcher certainly in the American League, if not in the major leagues. Anthony Bass will try to get back on track. Been a rough month for Bass, 2-7.
You know, Brad Ausmus, that poses the question to you. You've got a pitcher that has more than 5 pitches. I mean, how do you differentiate the difference between, you know, the 6 pitches, 7 pitches?
Take the glove off and then use both hands.
Bud, you read my mind. There are other things you can do. You know, there's different versions. You can go with the hook 'em horns as a sign.
Nice. I like that.
go to your chest protector or mask as a sign, right? Go to the equipment. You
can go to the equipment. There's a number of ways of getting around it. I have caught pitchers that have more than 5 pitches.
Can you name them?
Hiroki Kuroda comes to mind.
Okay.
Hamilton check swing from Hinshaw. Josh struck out first time up against Volquez, then tripled into and scored himself in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 6th. 3, 4, 5 batters, 6 for 10, 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run, 6 RBIs, 2 each by Hamilton, Beltre, and Cruz. Cruz with the home run off the foul pole and right. That is a healthy cut. It's a lot of bat coming through the strike zone. Struck him out against the left-hander. Hamilton goes down swinging. But tonight, it's the middle of that lineup producing the damage. Hamilton started it after the Padres took a 1-0 lead with 2 on. He drives this one up the galley and 2-run score, and he later scored on a sacrifice fly. And then the home run. Beltre off the foul pole in right field. His 12th of the season. You get men like that in the middle of your lineup. You can pitch around 1. You might be able to kind of pitch around 2, but when you have 3 hitters like that, sooner or later you pitch around 2 and the 3rd guy's going to have a 3-run home run trot.
Yeah, you can't keep putting men on base. It'll come back to bite you.
One and one to Beltre. Hinshaw making his 14th appearance, 13 2/3 innings. 1 decision, a loss. Ripped. Oh, another shot back through the box. Oh. Target practice by these Texas hitters. Beltre, a double, a home run, and a single, and a sacrifice fly. Everything but a triple for a cycle plus.
Well, Brad, you've given us some great insight tonight, and I want your thoughts on the role of the bullpen catcher, because Justin Hatcher does a great job down there, and what they bring to a ball club.
You know what, Mud, tell me if I'm wrong on this. My take is the bullpen catcher becomes a bit of a pitching coach and a bit of a confidant.
Absolutely. I've always said he is an extension of the pitching coach. No question.
He's like the good uncle. You know, you can trust him, and he might not tell everything you tell him. Same time, he'll tell you when you're right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, like with Hatch has caught these guys. He knows their delivery. He can tell if something looks different, and he can relay that to them and help them.
Yeah, he's a good one out there. He quite an asset to the ball club.
Along with Darryl Ackerfelds, and it's just the extension of why the Padres bullpen has been the best in the National League for many years. A little short on arm power this year because of all the injuries, but it's the pitching coach, the bullpen coach. Big swing and a miss. Nelson Cruz has a single and a 2-run double tonight and a walk. Hamilton, Beltre, Cruz. 8 hits among those 3 and 6 RBIs. Well, Brad Ausmus, sometimes time gets away from us at the end of the game. We can't appropriately thank a guest. You've been terrific to join us tonight. We've really enjoyed your insights. And you know you get paid by the word.
I do.
At Fox Sports San Diego.
0 cents a word, a couple thousand words. How much is that?
You know, I thought it was great because we were having a little pregame meeting in the press dining room, and we were throwing stuff at you. And the one thing that really impressed me is that, hey, that you said we could talk about this stuff for hours. And, you know, we really appreciate your insight and your time because it's great. You know, I learned stuff from you, from talking to Trevor, the coaching staff each and every day. That's why I like going down there and mixing it up with those guys. We learn something new every day.
Foul tip into the glove. Strike 3. Now that's a couple of strikeouts for Henshaw. Cruz thought the ball might have hit the ground before it was captured by Hundley. And let's see what plate umpire is going to ask for. Well, not for some help, because Ron Washington isn't going to help him at all, except that Washington thinks that the ball may have hit the ground.
You know what? Umpires have body language. As Wally Bell was going to approach Ron Washington, I saw Mark Wegner, the third base umpire, walking in. See? That's their own little. And Brad,
Right.
you might elaborate on this. If an umpire might see something that the home plate umpire didn't see, and there's a dispute, you'll see one of the umpires start to walk towards the situation, indicating that, hey, you know what? I saw it.
And looking at the replay, he saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you don't want a call to go against us, but
Right.
their job is to get the call right. And if this is the call that sticks, they got the call right because the ball did bounce.
Interesting scoreboard. It was B2S3. And now they've changed it to 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, Buddy Black has to give Bell an earful too, but it's obvious that the ball was not foul tipped cleanly into the glove of Hundley. So it's 2 and 2, and another shot for Nelson Cruz with one out here in the 9th inning.
Here's some trivia for you. Foul tip with 2 strikes on the batter hits the chest protector and goes into the glove.
No catch.
No, that's
What if it tips the glove, hits the chest protector? And
Yes.
goes? All right.
It's clean.
See, you should have been a catcher, Mud.
I posed the question to Nick Hundley, and I know you'll know this. Wild pitch back to the screen, runners on base. You take off your mask, you scoop up the ball with the mask to put in your glove. What's the ruling?
I saw Soch do that in a game. Mike Socha when he was with the Dodgers. It's 2 or 3 bases. I'm not sure.
It's like throwing your glove at a ball, and that's a 3-base ruling. That is strike 3, and no argument by Cruz nor the Texas dugout. 2 strikeouts for Henshaw here in the 9th. And a pinch hitter, Brandon Snyder, comes up. You can follow Fox Sports San Diego's coverage of the Padres with MLB.com at Bat12 for your iPhone, Windows Mobile, iPad, Android. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video, and much more. Text @BAT to 31826 or visit Padres.com for details. Now Snyder gets a chance to swing the bat.
Brad, do you know what a catcher's balk is?
You leave the catcher's box before the ball's released by the pitcher.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
What movie is that?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, okay.
Look at Snyder's numbers. Didn't get to play much. Hits .295, 3 home runs. He's had only 44 at bats, 3 home runs. They have talent right down to the 25th man. I think there ought to be revenue sharing and talent sharing. You just say, okay, now tomorrow you 2 guys come over on this side. We're going to re-choose up the sides. Tanner Scheppers warming up, and Snyder goes to 1 and 2 on that miss. He's 25 years of age. Centerville, Virginia. That gets away from Hundley, and moving to second base on the wild pitch is Beltre. And the count 2 and 2 to Snyder.
That's a case of Nick trying to block a ball in a game that's borderline out of hand. We're in the 9th inning, but his job is to try to keep Adrian Beltre, in this case, out of scoring position and try and make sure that Henshaw has a clean inning. That's how you get respect from your pitchers.
Hinshaw with a couple of strikeouts, trying to strike out the side here in the 9th inning. 2-2 the count. Yeah, the Rangers felt like they stole one last night, winning 2-1. They had not won a game 2-1 the entire season. Out hit by the Padres 9-5, but got the W. And then tonight, the big horses are galloping. Strike 3, and Alex Hinshaw strikes out the side in the 9th inning. Padres coming up home half of the 9th. It'll be Hundley leading off. Fellas in the tape room, Bill, Craig, and Robbie, working overtime in the game tonight and doing a fabulous job. A little classic rock, and there's been a little rock and roll for the catchers. Some classic work. And the Padres now, last call, bottom of the 9th inning. And Nick Hundley, appropriately, the catcher, to lead it off. Nick knocked in the first run of the game. He's also grounded sharply to first and struck out. And he has another base hit right up the middle. 10th hit of the game for the Padres. All 10 singles.
Hey, Brad, you were talking about in the pregame show about the catcher's position late in the game, 4th or 5th at bat. What's the condition Nick Hundley's feeling right about now?
I was just about to say, this is that tough at bat. He's had a bunch of balls in the dirt that he's had to block, taking a foul tip off the face mask. He's had a bunch of pitches thrown to him. His legs are certainly tired, and it's tough to concentrate and get those legs involved. And sure enough, just as I predicted, base hit up the middle.
Logan Forsythe came into the game as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning for Amarista and drilled one. Aimed for left field, but Beltre at third, leaning to his left, stabbed it. John Baker, the other catcher for the Padres, is on deck. And the count goes 1-1. Tanner Scheppers, 6'4" and 220 pounds. There are his numbers. He was a top draft pick of the Rangers, first round pick 3 years ago. Change up.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for Scheppers. You saw the numbers, not eye-boggling, right? At all. High numbers. So Ron Washington is thinking, okay, 5-run lead. Chance for the youngster to put together a nice, clean inning and build his confidence a little bit.
3-year star at Fresno State. In the dirt. That skips away, and on to second base goes Hundley.
That got Napoli good, too. You tell by his reaction.
Couldn't tell. Looked like it hit him in the side of the leg, maybe? Or to hit him up top? Did it bounce up?
Thinking left. Oh.
Inside the right leg?
Yep. Well, that area you told us is one of the worst, right?
Yeah, well, and you know what? It looked like it might have got between the pads. There's the soft, there's more of a cushion in between the knee pad and the shin pad. And if it gets right in there, it's almost like you're hitting flesh, really.
That's the badge of honor we were talking about earlier. They go back into the clubhouse after the game, the catchers, and they look like a dartboard. All the bruises and bumps. And
did you pack yourself an ice? How many knees? Both knees, shoulders?
I did not. I wasn't a person or a player that liked to ice a lot. So
really?
Unless I had a real pressing issue, I steered clear of the training room.
Well, Forsythe down on strikes. And here's John Baker. Well, on catcher's night, behind the mask, he should get a base hit. And he does. Loops one into left. Here comes the play at the plate. And safe as Hundley at 7-3. The catchers collaborate. The leadoff single by Hundley and an RBI pinch hit by Baker.
Well, see what's happening when somebody takes time to give us some insight in the second inning and give us some catching tips. It pays off. At the end of the game, John Baker will sacrifice that shillelagh and gladly take a base knock and an RBI, and Nick Hundley scores on catcher's night.
I'm thinking it might have been Volquez's gold chain that helped Baker, or maybe the Pat Riley hairdo.
I like the slick back look, quite frankly.
Will Venable, the hitter, 0 for 4.
It's because I'm jealous.
Well, yeah.
If I had any follicles at all, I mean, just give me another 10. Then I could go for the slick look. I'd like to be able, he does that part down the middle.
Yeah.
Kind of nice, too. And it goes, there's another wild pitch. Might be a pass ball as Napoli had his glove on it. And Baker moves to second base. We'll see how they score. What do you think?
I'm going to go with pass ball.
So is the official score?
Not exactly where Napoli wanted it, but in my mind, a catchable ball. I'm guessing if you ask Mike, he'd tell you the same thing.
So with one out, a chance to add another at 7-3. High fly toward the foul line. Hamilton there for the second out. And a reminder to join the Padres as we honor the men and women of the U.S. Army coming up Sunday. 105 game against the Mariners. U.S. Army Appreciation Day is presented by USAA. And after the Padres take on the Mariners, you junior Padres hang around so you can run the bases here at Petco Park after the game. Get your tickets at Padres.com or call 619-795-5555. Sailors with us tonight. We've had Navy Day, Air Force Day, and this Sunday we salute the Army. Two out to Cameron Maben.
We got one out left. I want to thank you, Dick, and Mudcat for allowing me to join you tonight.
Thanks, Bradley. It's been a pleasure, man.
It's been fun.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Let's shake on it.
All right,
it's not on camera.
Some great insight. You're a good egg, Brad Ausmus.
Maben, a couple of singles tonight, takes a strike. Yeah, that's why this is such a fascinating game. People think, well, gee, it's, there's nothing to it. It's just more action. But once the more knowledge has become Shakespearean and the battle between pitcher and batter and outthinking one another. And then the catcher being the quarterback of the game.
And that's the fun part. It's for a catcher, really, the most enjoyable part for me is the cat and mouse game between you, the pitcher, the catcher, and trying to get through the game and get a win.
That'll be out of play, and the Padres running out of strikes, 2-2 with 2 out. A run home here in the ninth, 7-3 the score. So maybe someday we'll see you down in a dugout and managing this game. Or maybe you'll become a broadcaster now to see how easy it is.
Yeah, it's simple.
No, we are simple. Another one gets away. Napoli wants this game to finish. What? I think that hit. They're calling Maben around on strikes. Went around, and he didn't run, so they get the out at first base. And on that low note, the game is over, and the Texas Rangers celebrate a 7-3 win. Here it is again. He goes around, no question.
Yeah.
Ball gets away, but Maben content to take strike 3. Well, thanks again, Brad Ausmus. We'll see you around Petco, and let's get these Padres and the young kids going. I know you're working with a lot of young people down in the minor league system, and there's some good talent coming, and they'll be taught well.
I look forward to seeing you, Dick.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Mudcat.
So the final score, the Texas Rangers 7, the San Diego Padres 3, and here's Andy Mazer.
All right, Dick, thanks very much. And a 7-3 loss. We'll recap this one for you here at Petco Park as Josh Hamilton returns to the line.